This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. You know, that province nobody knows about, and when people name all 10 provinces from Canada, they usually get 9, and the one they leave off is the one I'm in. Why? Because nobody knows about it. However, my guess is from a place that I fell in love with 6 years ago when Lisa Langlois invited me to Horrorama to assist her, and friendship was born. And I just did my third convention with her at Frightmare in the Falls, and I'm wearing the T-shirt. Yes, this one is signed by her too. Yeah, my guest has the T-shirt behind him. Yes, my guest. Here we are. It is November the 7th, 2023. My guest I just met at Frightmare in the Falls. Now, normally I assist Lisa, and I still assisted Lisa, but on hand they have handlers that assist the talent as well. And at first I didn't think it was necessary. Lisa had me, but I'm sure glad that she had a handler on hand anyway, because I got to meet this gentleman that I have on tonight, and we shared some stories, and I was happy to take Lisa and himself out to dinner because, well, I formed a friendship with this guy, and I'm happy to him. We call him the Dubinator, or as we're gonna call him by his name here, Justin Dube.
That's right.
How do you do, Justin?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
You know what? I'm glad we're able to reconnect here. I I I I wish I was in Toronto. I didn't want to come back here.
Sure. There's a lot more
But
action up here, right?
I love Toronto. I really owe Lisa a lot for introducing me to that because until 2017 I'd never really been outside of New Brunswick other than Prince Edward Island when I was young, but that was it, you know. But I mean, as much as I'd like to uh harp on New Brunswick, I was watching a thing recently on ranking the 10 provinces in Canada. New Brunswick always seems to rank high, if not in the top three, and it makes me scratch my head because I mean, I had an actress on last night. Like when I go to schedule my Zooms, it acknowledges East Coast, doesn't acknowledge Atlantic Canada, which is where I am,
Hmm.
and I have to explain that all the time. And it frustrates me that New Brunswick does not do a better job at putting itself out there. It's like that kid in class that's too shy to speak up.
Sure.
And yeah, it annoys me a lot. And when Lisa introduced me to Toronto, I fell in love with it. And I really would like to make it my permanent home. I would love to live there. And everybody keeps telling me, oh, the crime's bad. Oh, it's dangerous there. There's gangs there. And I say, fuck off. I went and saw Five Nights at Freddy's
Yeah.
at a late screening there on October 30th.
Hmm.
Afterwards, like I like to document me on my trips. So while I'm cleaning, I can have something pleasant going through my ears and remember pleasant times. And I documented myself leaving that Cineplex and walking down the street, probably for a good 10 minutes. I was talking about that movie and walking. I never felt any more threatened there than I did here. And Lisa's told me herself, a lot of people that's never lived in Toronto love to talk a lot of smack about it. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
She's absolutely right. And I think one of the reasons I lost my job earlier this year is because I preferred Toronto over this nameless province.
Well, there's always lots to do in Toronto.
Yep.
And as you said, lots of people talk smack about the town, but I mean, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find trouble. You know what I mean? Like if you walk in certain areas at night, you're looking for trouble. But if you kind of stay away from, the darker areas of town, and you stay on the Young Street or you stay in the populated areas, you won't have any trouble. And all the years I've lived in Toronto, well, I mean, I'm outside of Toronto now, but I had never had any problems. And I was riding the subways with my brother since I was 6 or 7 years old. So yeah.
So you're
I was like,
telling me the reason why people from my former job are not seen around me is because they want to stay away from this part of town?
it's right.
Probably a good idea. I'm not happy with how things went down there.
Yeah,
And I'm not the only one either.
sure. Yeah.
But yep. But nonetheless, I would love to live in Toronto. I love it. And people always say to me here too, they'll say, well, you were on vacation in Toronto. If you lived there, it would be different. How different? It'd be just like here. I'd wake up, go to work, come back to my apartment. How different would it be? You mean I wouldn't be going to cons every day? I don't do that now.
Right.
I think I think the only thing I would miss here was going to my brother's every weekend and hanging out. That'd be
Sure.
one thing I'd miss. But
That's what Zoom's for.
yeah, but I love Toronto. I'm sorry, and these people, especially people in New Brunswick that trash talk it, it's like, sorry for my language, but it's like fuck you people.
Yep.
It's like I don't understand this. And Lisa's right. A lot of those people never lived there.
Yeah.
And Lisa's proud of Toronto. And you know what? You look at my background. I
I love it.
love Toronto.
Yep.
I love Toronto. I'm not saying that New Brunswick is not a nice place to live. It's just I've kind of expanded.
I
Yeah.
mean, once you've had a taste, you want more. And there's lots to do. There's lots of history in Toronto. I mean, there's so many amazing places to go and visit and explore. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm from the High Park area, so where I grew up, it was beautiful. You had the park right there, and then a few blocks away from that is the lake. So you have everything just like in and around the same area. It's beautiful.
I
Go for a walk
love
in the
it.
park, watch the autumn leaves falling right now. It's a gorgeous place to be. So, and the city at large. So,
I love it. I absolutely love it. What would your advice be for me if I wanted to move to Toronto? Is there any advice on how I can make something work?
how? What do you mean, like make something work? You like an apartment or?
Yeah.
Um, well, I mean, there's always options. There's always rooms to rent. There's cheap areas. It's not as expensive as everybody thinks. It's just where you go, and Queen West is a good spot. There's a lot of places that are reasonably priced, and it's close to the action downtown. Uh, I always recommend Hyde Park because I grew up there, and there's so many beautiful spots. And I mean, if you look hard enough and you have patience and time, you never know what you'll find. When I lived down there, when I first moved out on my own, I found an entire basement apartment. It was a bachelor, but at that time, well, granted, it was 30 years ago, but I was only paying four and a quarter when everything else in and around were $500 and $600 for the same space. So I got really lucky, and I've always been lucky with rent and finding great places. Um, and yeah, and around Hyde Park, there's Queen of Roncesvalles. There's some older buildings there, but they're reasonably priced too. And I stayed there for a while. I've moved in and around Toronto so many places, but generally my heart is in Hyde Park.
So High Park and Queen, what are those neighborhoods like? They're not are they dangerous? Are they safe or
No, I mean, uh, even Parkdale, which is just a little bit east of the High Park, itself, the park itself. It's been given a bad rep, but they've cleaned it up over the years, and it's not as bad. And again, like if you go walking around there at night, you look like you belong. Nobody's going to bother you, and for the most part, nobody's going to bother you anyways, right? It's a nice, beautiful neighborhood, and there's right at Queen of Roncesvalles, and it's split. So you got Queen Street going one way, King going the other, Roncesvalles, and then the other way is Queensway. So it's a big split.
Okay. So if I lived in that area, would I have to get on a GO train to the subway, or is there a subway nearby? What's the story?
Oh, there's a subway, Dundas West Subway, just off of Roncesvalles. So you take a streetcar there, or you could walk there. The walk up Roncesvalles is beautiful. It's a
Okay.
beautiful neighborhood. It's a Polish neighborhood, so they have some beautiful bakeries and delicatessens. And
Okay.
I went to school there when I was a kid, so I know the entire area quite well. And like I said, it's gorgeous. There hasn't been too much. I mean, downtown Toronto, it's hard to recognize.
Hmm.
Um, but excuse me one second. I just have to plug my battery in because I see him dying here. Hang on one sec.
Yeah,
There we go.
there we go.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I kicked the cord out, so my battery's kind of low as it is, so I have to have it plugged in all the time. But yeah, like I'd say Hyde Park hasn't lost its identity. Whereas if I go downtown Toronto, just driving in from Ancaster, if I'm taking the QEW in and I'm going along the Gardner, there's so many buildings just so close to the highway, and you can basically see into people's windows now. And it was never like that before. It was there were few and far between, but it's just so cramped, and I could barely recognize anything. Um, whereas High Park, I mean, there's been some development. They've taken down some older buildings. They put up a few condos, but like I said, there's few and far between, and it has really lost its identity, and it's still beautiful. And they got some beautiful old homes there, and there's always some old lady who's trying to supplement her income and maybe rent out a basement on the cheap. So I mean, you're out of province, but if you were in town looking for a place, I always recommend people, walking around, because a lot of these people, especially older people, aren't computer savvy, right?
Yeah.
So they'll put for rent signs up in their window, or sometimes they'll just put it in the local newspaper. So you won't get the Kijiji ads for some of these golden spots. So that would be my recommendation, that if you're in Toronto, you're looking for a place to stay, a lot of legwork. And I mean, depending on where you want to live, where Lisa Langlois is living is a beautiful area itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a beautiful area. I'm fine as long as I'm close to, because if I move there, I'm leaving my car here. I'm gonna let my brother and his wife have that because insurance is too high there. Number two, the transit system in Toronto is great. Like,
Incredible.
yeah, like I love.
You won't need a car in Toronto, because transit runs 24/7, and just
Mhm.
about anywhere you are in the city, you're close to a streetcar, bus, or subway. So
Yeah, I love it. And Lisa taught me well on those.
yeah,
So I'm looking to make that happen at some point. It got put on hold, you know. I was supposed to start a job there June 20th, and it just didn't happen due to the rent and prices, and plus I have a cat.
yeah,
And people, you never believe how cold some people are. Say, well, just get rid of your cat. No, number one,
no,
my dad passed away in April 2022, and
I'm sorry
after
to
an
hear that.
8-year battle of ALS.
Oh, geez.
And he and my mom used to own the cat, and they had an Australian Shepherd. And when they moved out of my family home into my grandparents' old place, which had less stairs,
Mhm.
I still stayed I was in the old house for 47 and a half years. I joke with people, my parents couldn't get me to move out, so they left first.
Yeah,
But my brother was there to clean it up so it could be sold. And my dad had Skittles stay with me because he's told me so I'd have company, which I thought was very sentimental. But I
mhm.
think he knew because, the dog was more than enough for them to handle, and they knew I was more a cat person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so finding a place in Toronto would let me bring my cat was another thing. I did find places online on Vaughan Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I'd have to look into those, but
Uh, you mean Vaughan Road? Would have been Vaughan Road.
maybe it was Vaughan Road.
Yeah. I mean, it's an okay neighborhood. Like one of my best friends, his name's Simon. He lives up there. Um,
Is it close to the subway?
oh yeah. Vaughan, you can get the St. Clair West subway from there. So you
Okay.
just take the streetcar along St. Clair, and yeah, it goes right under the, just goes right underneath, and it'll take you straight to the with the what is known as the Young University line. It'll take you
Okay.
downtown Toronto. So yeah, it's a nice neighborhood. Like I said, my
Yeah.
friend's been there 40 years. Him and his mother, and yeah, it's a great neighborhood. So
I'm looking to make that happen. And I know Lisa would love it if I moved to Toronto, but and
mhm.
I've made a few friends there. It's just, I got nothing against having a roommate, but it's the situation is I'm not dragging my stuff there and getting stuff stabbed and then finding somebody's gonna steal from me.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Yep. So
Unless you have a friend or somebody that is reliable and trustworthy.
yep.
That was my biggest fear. I never really had roommates. I had one, and he was kind of a psychopath, but that's another story for another day. But
Yeah.
I don't really have to worry about him stealing my stuff. It was just him using it like when I want to use it. I'd come home from work. I want to, hang up my hat, kick up my feet, go to watch the TV, and he's sitting there. He's got a stack of movies he's rented. Well, when movies were rentable at the Blockbuster, and he'd hit the Blockbuster up, and he had this affection for B movies. So, I mean, it was great stuff. I just, I want to come home and unwind and watch the news, or just, see what's going on in the world. And my friend Mark is sitting there, smoking cigarettes in the house, and I smoked at the time. I quit a long time ago, just over 10 years ago, but I never liked smoking in the house. So you'd be like blowing it all over the place, and it
Yep.
yellow stains all over the walls and my furniture, and my clothes smell like smoke. I hated it, but that's another thing. If you have a smoker as a roommate, they don't always want to go outside. If it's raining or if it's snowing out or it's cold, that's the thing too. But um, yeah, I mean, like you should be able to find some bachelor apartments on Vaughan Road that are reasonably priced. Like,
Well, I'm looking into it. I'm still looking into it. I don't think no, he will not admit this, but I don't think my brother wants me to leave, my younger brother.
of course not.
But and I get that, but at the same token, it's like I don't know. I always when I go to Toronto, I just don't want to come back. I love it there.
Yeah,
And yeah, I realize I'm on vacation. But I can also see me waking up every day and going to work and still living in Toronto.
right.
I don't think it's a matter of I'm gonna go to work every day and all of a sudden I'm gonna hate it. No, I've had perfect attendance at the job that screwed me, and I've got perfect attendance at this one I got right now,
Yeah,
and I'm working at Be Clean right now, and they said there is a Be Clean in Toronto, but I don't think they're gonna pay hospital money there.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I'm going to see what I can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of jobs to be had in Toronto. A lot of
You
people
know
say,
what?
"Oh,
I do work. I for me, I have to be really sick
yeah,
to miss a day of work. I got a root canal coming up. I went to work with a toothache for a week. I still went to work.
yeah,
Like I said, it takes a lot for me to take a day off,
yeah,
and my job here appreciates it. And but I mean, after I'm done this interview, I'm gonna go clean a building, and just go stick my earphones in, listen to a podcast or whatnot.
mhm,
But I love the Toronto. I love Toronto. I can't say it enough. I love Toronto, and I'll always appreciate and love Lisa for introducing me to something I was not ever open to. I got homesick just going to St. John or Moncton. You can imagine being invited to Toronto. And I remember I never flown before. I'm the only one in my family who's flown.
Oh wow,
I took Porter Airlines, which I highly recommend. Love it.
Oh, nice.
And well, I was nervous until I got up in the air. I was like, this is like taking the bus.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of it. And they served food on there and whatnot. I really enjoyed it. I really dug it. And I landed on Billy Bishop. I've never been to Pearson, but I landed on Billy Bishop, and it's the first time I've seen escalators since the 80s. Yeah, we haven't had them here since the mid 80s, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
And I never took the ferry across. I always took the tunnel, and I just loved taking those escalators. Like I remember this way back when.
Right.
And go up there and then taking the shuttle bus to Union Station and going from there to the subway. And Lisa taught me all of that, and I even enjoy just listening to the subway sounds, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I love it. And it's like every subway stop you get off,
Yeah.
it's like something, it's like a choose your own adventure. Remember those choose your own
Oh, yeah.
adventure books?
I love
It's
those
like
books.
that. Yeah. You get off at any stop and
Yeah.
it's like, what is there? What is there?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, you know?
Awesome.
So
If
I
you,
I I intend to eventually make Toronto my home.
I hope you do, because my heart is will always be in Toronto, no matter where. Like, the fact that my daughter lives in St. Catharines and my ex-wife is there. I want to be closer to them. Otherwise, if I was just on my own, I'd find a way to still be living in Toronto. But family's first as far as I'm concerned. But my heart always aches for the city. And anytime I
Yeah.
try to visit, I do it later at night. So I'll drive down at night and I'll head up Spadina because there's some great late night Chinese food places.
Oh,
There's
nice.
one called New Ho King, and everybody from the university would order from there at night because they had a late night menu where it was open until 4 or 5 in the morning. So yeah, that's how I got hooked on that because my ex-wife used to work at University of Toronto at the library that's open all night, Robarts Library. It's shaped like a peacock. It's great.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, but I was going to
Yeah.
say if you like escalators, you're talking about the escalators at Billy Bishop Airport.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place called College Park at Young and College, and inside
Mm-hmm.
there they still have a functioning wooden escalator made out of wood.
Oh,
It's just,
wow.
yeah, it's just a little tiny thing. It's so narrow, but it just goes up a little spot. But it's pretty cool. I guess it's
Oh,
probably about 100 years old by now, but yeah, it's awesome.
yeah. Well, I had fun at Frightmare in the Falls. I'm wearing the beanie
I
that
saw
came
that.
with the,
I
yep.
didn't get a hat.
Oh, you didn't?
No, and I've worked two of them. This will be my second one. My first one, I was going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet my childhood hero here. Where is he? Oh,
Oh,
David
Griffin
Naughton.
Dunn? Oh, Griffin Dunn's your childhood
No,
hero?
no, 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 no. David Naughton. Griffin Dunn. I got his autograph. He autographed this poster for me. He gave it to me for free. He took some pictures with me for free because I was working his line. Now I wasn't his handler. I was volunteering, so I was just taking care of the traffic and
Then
what.
you were there when I was there because I met him and got him to sign my American Werewolf in London Blu-ray
Oh,
last
that's
year.
awesome. I
Yeah,
probably I probably talked to you because I know I
you
talked to you when
probably
Lachlan
did.
Monroe was there because I remember
Huh?
your joke. When
Yep.
Lachlan Monroe was at it wasn't Frightmare, was it?
No, it
It
was
was just a
Frightmare in
regular
the
one in June.
Falls. I asked him if he had any of the tiny dick pics from a scary movie.
Yeah, that's right. But I was watching Sean Clark.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching he visited all the locations for America. I was like, oh my goodness. I was up late last night. I had to watch the entire thing. I was just so fast. I'm so envious of him and his friend Scott on tape. Like these guys are awesome. Just the time they take to check out these locations. And I mean, I did a bit of it myself, but not as extensive as these guys. Like if I know some places in Toronto that have been movies, like I could tell you all about Police Academy, where it was filmed and little secret places that not a lot of people know about. But no, these guys like him checking out the flat where David Naughton turns into the werewolf. his girlfriend Jenny Agater's flat. He's checking that out and he's going all over the place. I was like, wow. And he found all these spots. I'd love to find out how these guys do it because it's amazing, And I love watching those videos.
Well, Sean, the amazing thing about him that I admire is he used to work at Spencer's Gifts. He went from Spencer's Gifts to booking Jamie Lee Curtis on her first con. And I first heard of him when I had Ted White, who was Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the best one to wear the hockey mask, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I've had him on twice, and that was the first time I had heard the name Sean Clark.
Mhm.
And eventually I started hearing his name a little more often, and I reached out. I started listening to his podcast, The Thing with Two Heads, that he does with Christopher Nelson.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him when he put his email on there one night, and I reached out to him, and I got a response. I've had him on twice, and it was a pleasure to meet him
Oh,
at
yeah.
Frightmare in the Falls.
Oh, I was so excited. I
Yeah.
hadn't watched his videos. Like, I didn't watch American Werewolf in London yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that he worked with Scott on tape, the Scott guy. I forget his last name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad. But he was looking for a location for class of 1984. And I knew what he was talking about, and I had to go check online. But he was talking about Murray Curtis Park because it's in the movie. It's totally different now. You wouldn't recognize it unless you knew the neighborhood, which
Mm-hmm.
I did. But then I was telling him, hey, there's a guy named called Scott on tape who does all these locations and whatnot. I felt so stupid because he's like, yeah, I know. I've been on a show. We're buddies. I was like, ugh. Because I watched a lot of Scott on tape, but I hadn't seen Sean. So, yeah, no, it was awesome talking to him. And I wish he'd come over a bit more so I could have, shot the breeze because he's got some amazing videos. They're
He
both
had
of them.
7 clients there. I know he represented Nick Castle and PJ Souls, who were there.
Oh,
He represented some others. I do know that the first time I spoke to him, at the time he asked me about where the house was where the teacher lived. He didn't know where that was at the time, but he found it this time.
yeah.
So, but
Uh,
I remember when I interviewed him the first time, that was one location uh, he hadn't found. And second time I interviewed him, we didn't really discuss it, but I'm glad he was able to do that. Um,
from what
Nonetheless,
I
huh?
noticed, sorry,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, from what I noticed, the teacher's house looked like the area where the high school was. Like there's Harvard and there's Bathurst, and those houses are unique. Well, to me, anyways, that it looked like it might have been from the same. I'd have to talk to him about it because
Well,
he's
Lisa and I got our picture taken in front of it in 2017 when I went down, and there was a for
no,
sale there was a for sale sign in front of it, and I'm like, "Gee, how coincidence! Did
yeah,
Stegman and the gang come back?"
that's awesome. Did you guys look
But
inside? Were you able to like go up to the window or?
no, we just did a photo out there in the lawn.
That's awesome.
Well, I think we were kind of pressed for time, but
Sure, yeah.
yeah. But on
Wait,
subsequent visits, like I've met Neil Clifford.
okay,
I met Erin Noble a couple of times, and I've had her on the show,
yeah.
and and I've had a number of people from that film on. Stefan Armgrim's been on here a number of times. Mary
Really?
Lynn Ross has been on here a couple
Wow,
times. So I had Gord Lewis from Teenage Head on here as well.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's the last surviving member, you said?
No, he's gone. His
Is
son
he?
murdered him.
Oh no. Oh, that was
Yep.
it his son or something?
Yeah. But there's one
Wow.
surviving member. I was glad to get Gord Lewis when I did, um, but nonetheless, I enjoyed Toronto,
Yeah,
and I had a great time at the con, and of course, you and I worked Lisa's table, and you
that
handled
was
the
amazing.
money, and I ran a lot of errands. For the most
Well,
part, I
I was
couldn't
grateful
find.
because the one thing I wanted to do is like try to sit down because usually I've worked a bunch of the cons. Well, I tried to put up all my volunteer shirts behind me so you get
Yeah.
a peek. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but the one thing is just the standing kills my feet and my knees. Like,
Hmm.
we're not young anymore. Obviously, we're only a year apart, and same birthday, and that's awesome too, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
And of
both
course,
July
what you always said. You want to hear something funny? You want to hear something funny?
8th.
Lisa and I were still talking about that. You want to hear something funny? But
I didn't realize
yeah,
how much I said it until you guys pointed it out. But that's usually, hey, you want to hear funny? Or,
yeah, we're both born July 8th. I was born 72 July 8th, and you were
Mhm.
born 73 July 8th.
That's right.
How how interesting is that?
Right? That's awesome. It was also like, the stars were aligned. It was like fate that we met.
There you go, But
Yeah, like
nonetheless,
I hope you move to Toronto, because I'd love to show you around, like the spots that, like, there's tourist spots, but then there's also cool spots uh like the haunted houses. First mayor of Toronto was William Lyon Mackenzie. His house is supposed to be haunted, and it's right downtown behind Dundas Square, uh, right at Dundas and Bond. It's on Bond Street, and I guess, what is that? City TV is right there now, right facing Dundas Square. So actually, behind that, there's the Bond Hotel, and then beside it is Mackenzie House. And it's so cool to go inside. They got a working printing press, the printing press. Sorry, my braces, in the basement, and yeah, they let you operate it. You make your own little print, and it's an amazing spot. It's right in the city. These all these little gems that I mean, they're touristy spots, but they're cool just the same. I would want to go there at night, because it's supposed to be the most haunted house in Canada, but I've never seen anything. All the times I've walked by it at night, or been partying downtown and staggering by, I've never seen a thing. But there's all these cool spots in Toronto, and I can't say enough about the city. Like, and I haven't lived there in so long, but like I said, my heart's always there. No matter how far I am, I'm always homesick for the city. And unfortunately, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who luckily won last night, or else probably would have like ripped another one of my jerseys. So,
well, what's the first convention? Like, I mean, Horrorama was the first one I went to, and it's
yeah.
the first of three I worked with Lisa.
Mhm.
What's the first convention you've ever volunteered at?
Uh, what year is it? 2023. So was it last year? So this year, June, last year. I think it was last year, June was my first one. Or was it 2021? I don't recall. So wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think it was last year, June. Was the first one I'd volunteered at, because I visited. My first Niagara Falls Comic Con was June of 2018,
Hmm.
because Don Wells was there, and there's a few other people I wanted to meet. Robert Carradine from Revenge of the Nerds, Andrew Cassis, who played the little kid in Revenge of the Nerds.
I had him
Was there?
on earlier this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I loved talking to him at his table. He was so cool.
Hmm.
Um, and a bunch of other people. Felix Silla, who was Tweaky and Buck Rogers. He was there. It was so awesome, and they had a set from Return of the Jedi, like the little Endor. I don't know what that thing was called, where Leia got shot in the arm, and the bunker,
Hmm.
rather. So these guys had it set up, and then Felix Silla came over, and he was talking to these guys. I don't think these guys had any idea who he was. Like, they knew he was just part of the convention and he was an actor, but I don't think they had any idea that he was actually in the movie, like in Return of the Jedi, as like one of the Ewoks, and he was actually on the real set. So he's sitting there talking to these guys, and I don't think they had a clue. So it's so funny. But yeah, that was my first one. Was last year, and I volunteered about that Frightmare. No, it's 2021. I'm wrong. Yeah, it was 2021, because I've done 7 so far. And my last one was the first time where I was working as a celebrity handler, where I wasn't on the volunteer lines. So I just
Okay.
happened to get lucky, because I was supposed to work at Nickel City Comic Con, the new one they got. Well, the people who run the Niagara Falls one picked up the one in Buffalo. I don't know why they call it Nickel City, because Nickel City to me is always Sudbury, Ontario. You
Mhm.
know, Nickel Town, and they got the huge nickel there. But unfortunately, I injured myself and I wasn't able to work the con, so I was really upset about that. And I was bedridden for a while because I'd injured my back. I fell down some stairs because I'm a klutz, but yeah, I was so like, oh, it was so. Anyways, so then Hamilton came along, and then I was supposed to do some handling there, but it was quiet, so I wasn't needed. So I ended up working Pat Mastriani's line from Degrassi, and that was awesome. He's an awesome person, and Stacey Miston, who played his girlfriend on the show, Caitlin. So yeah, that was a great con. And then the last one, of course, was my favorite because I got to meet Lisa, and she was super nice and such a classy lady. And she gave me that awesome shirt. I didn't get a chance to get it signed. I wanted to, but I just think it got a little busier at the end, and I just wanted to make sure everything was running smoothly. So I didn't really get a chance to ask, but there's a lot of people I missed at Frightmare that I wanted to talk to, like Keith David. I was dying to meet him, but I didn't get a chance because we're on the opposite ends of the floor, you know. And I don't want to. I'm obviously not going to leave Lisa too long because I am working. You know, even if we're volunteering as handlers, I still got to do my job, and I still have to be professional. So if I had a quiet moment like I did, and I was lucky enough to meet the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guys, and they were nice enough to sign that
There
one.
you go.
That's an awesome shot.
Mm-hmm.
That was right after Leatherface had whacked him with the hammer over the head,
Mm-hmm.
and then there they are having a smoke together and a good time. I was so excited for that, getting to meet
Mm-hmm.
those guys because it was nice and quiet at that part. Lisa was her table was quiet, and you guys were hanging out and talking. And I think who was there? Well, so you guys had some visitors, so I was able to duck away for a few minutes and get some pictures and autographs. So I was happy. I didn't get to meet PJ Souls, and that broke my heart because I was dying to meet her. But again, she was at the opposite end,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't have time to duck away or see Corey Feldman because he was only there a limited time.
Yeah, I'm like, gee, should I have done that? That was a pricey one, but nostalgia kind of set in.
Yeah, you never know
No.
if you'll see him again or if he's going to do another con because sometimes he has to work and he cancels or something comes up. Life happens for these guys.
Well, apparently, according to the forums online, he's known to cancel a lot, but
Yeah,
he was a strange individual. I think we saw him in the hotel lobby.
yeah. Remember? Yeah, he was standing. I don't know if he was like waiting for somebody to notice him, but he was standing there for quite a while, and people were just walking by him and didn't even notice that he was there or know that it was him. Right? I guess he could
I
take off his
walked
sunglasses.
over I walked over close enough and I was sitting there thinking, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just something weird about this whole scenario. I'll go over and talk to John Dugan.
Yeah, he's a weird duck, man. Odd duck, I
Yeah.
would say. I was having more fun hanging out with you and Lisa at the bar, and then we saw Ron Perlman sitting there by himself. He's just reading his he was reading something off his phone and just chilling out and having a good time. And Art the Clown was there too, and
Yeah.
Grandpa from the Chainsaw. But everyone was just chilling, having a good time, and like having a drink. So I don't want to spoil the moment by being a fan and start taking pictures and like selfies or whatever. And like it was just cool enough that we're hanging out with them, and Lisa was there, and the lady whose name escapes me from The Exorcist, who played the demon opposite.
Oh, Eileen Dietz.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, from The Exorcist. She's been a guest on here a couple
Is
times.
that right?
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
And yeah, and she gave me, let me see, I got the beanie. Yeah, she gave me the beanie because I had ordered the beanie from her, but she said rather than me pay the shipping, she'd bring it to Frightmare in the Falls.
Wow.
So I've had
Wow.
Eileen on a couple times.
Wow.
Actually, I can't say this for sure, but I pitched Lisa Langlois, Eileen Dietz, and Sandy Johnson, and they got, and I don't know whether I'm the reason they got brought in, but I know I pitched them, and I pitched Nancy McLaughlin from Jason Lives. She didn't get picked, but she did do Chiller that same weekend. So
It's awesome.
um, I know I pitched some names to James Ponce.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So
James is the one who selects the guests for the cons.
I don't know. I've
I'd
had
like to
him
find
on
out.
here before, so I just threw them the names his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Awesome.
nonetheless, I got the VIP because it means, I don't have to stand in lineup. So if I do leave Lisa's table, I won't be long.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Um,
totally worth it. You know,
yeah.
I
Well, people that stump my show, I kind of like to meet them, and I think the first one I went and met was Sandy Johnson, I think from Halloween, because
oh,
she's
wow.
an absolute sweetheart. I've
Is
had her
it?
on here a few times, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
hmm
Yeah,
But
some of the Halloween people I didn't get to meet uh because they're again at the opposite end. So like some of the Friday 13th people like Eric Anderson,
mhm.
he was awesome, and I got to talk to him for a bit because he had Kim Coates at his table. I guess they're good friends, and they were talking about fantasy football. Well, like, couldn't you guys be talking about fantasy hockey? Because I know more about hockey than I do football. So I wanted to join in, but you know, that would have been awesome. I wanted to meet the Friday the 13th guys because of the final chapter is my favorite movie,
Yep.
and uh, my ex-wife and I, well, she was my wife at the time, in 2018, uh, Friday the 13th fell out in April, and they were showing that movie on Friday the 13th. So I was like, oh, isn't that amazing? So we got to see that, and it was an awesome time, and it was just awesome little community theater that I grew up around. It's like basically it backs onto the public school I went to as a kid. So it's been there forever, like over 100 years, and they play some awesome flicks. They have like you know themed nights like Friday the 13th that night. Pardon me, and yeah, it was amazing, and because Corey Feldman's in it, and also in Goonies, Goonies never say die. So that scene where he's got Jason and he's like, die, die. He's screaming that. And then some people from the audience were like, hey, Goonies never say die. So it was really funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
they serve beer, and everybody's having a good time, and they had giveaways and prizes, and I think I won one of the posters, but I got it put away. I had to put my American Werewolf away because I wanted to get a plastic framing for it to protect it because it fell, and it got a little crease in the top there, which
hmm
is irritating to me because I didn't want it to get damaged, but it did a bit. It's not really noticeable, but
hmm
I'm hoping he comes back so I can get another one signed because he was awesome, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and
Yeah, I got 5 signatures now on my Halloween Blu-ray because Tony Moran was there last year.
mhm,
And this year I had Nick Castle, PJ Souls, Will Sandin, and Sandy Johnson. So
yeah,
I got 5 signatures. I like to get Blu-rays signed when I can. And so I got that signed. Texas Chainsaw, I got all 4 people sign that. My only disappointment is sad that Terry McMinn did not. I guess that she was having health issues,
yeah,
but I've had her on the show twice. She was the meat hook victim.
yep.
Yeah, but I got a couple autographs through the mail from hers somewhere here. So I've had her on a couple times. She was my first Texas Chainsaw guest. So yeah. Um, the Terrifier people, I met all those, and
Yeah,
of course,
they're
yep,
all amazing.
absolutely.
Every single one of them so friendly, so warm, and they're so great with the fans. I I wasn't able to go over because again, I was obligated at my table as much as I'm a fan and a big nerd at heart.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm working, even though it's volunteering, I mean, to me, it's a job,
Yep.
and I have to take it seriously, and I put my 100% into it. So I don't want to be like Lisa Stanner. She's waiting to do something, and then I'm off, messing around because But
I picked my moments carefully.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I picked my moments carefully. I wasn't going to leave her table when she had a lineup, so I picked my moments carefully.
absolutely.
And I was very successful with that. Um, I think I spent more money than I should have. Maybe I'm sitting there thinking maybe I shouldn't have got the VIP. Maybe waiting in a lineup means I'm not going to spend as much. But then again, if I'm waiting in a lineup, I'm not at her table. So there's what have you, you know.
It's always
But
worth it. I
yeah,
always recommend getting the VIP because I don't like waiting in line. I
I
like to
don't
go right to
either.
the front. And my first con that I did, Niagara Falls, that was the first thing I did. I was there all 3 days, and I made sure that I got the VIP because I wanted to meet Jonathan Frakes, and I thought there'd be a huge lineup. And I got there on the Friday. I didn't know what Fridays were like. I didn't know it was nice and quiet, and I was like, I hope it's not like this the whole time. I was like, does anybody know they're here? Because there wasn't much of a lineup for Frakes. So my plan was to get a picture with him and then get it signed the next day. But he didn't say 2 words to me. He didn't say
Oh,
anything at all. I went to his handler. I said, "Yeah, I'd like a photo, and I'd like to come back tomorrow and get it signed by him." "Oh yeah, yeah, no problem." And then he said to Frakes, he said, "Oh, this gentleman would like a picture." So I was talking to him. I was trying to say something, and he wasn't talking at all. So I was like, maybe he's having a bad day, or I don't know. I went to shake his hand, and he just went to give me props like that. So like,
who
okay.
all did you meet? Who all did you meet at that one?
Oh, 2018. So him, Felix Silla,
Hmm.
Michael Bean from Terminator was there.
Yeah.
Uh, he was a little pricey, so I was thinking, yeah, maybe not. And he seemed to be in a mood himself. Some of them are in a bad mood, and then I don't feel like approaching them. Because of that. Ogre, so Donald Gibb from Revenge of the Nerds, Andrew Cassis or Casses, I can never
Hmm.
pronounce his name. He was there. Robert Carradine was there. Dawn Wells, she was there as well. Uh, Norman Cliff from Cheers, so John
Hmm.
Ratzenberger and George Wendt, they were there, but they're always busy, and I didn't get it. I mean,
Yeah, I think we heard the story about them from
they're hollering at
I
me.
was a little surprised. The person by the Halloween car said that they were difficult.
Yeah, yeah, like they'd yell at their handlers and yell at volunteers if anybody was like trying to take their picture at a distance.
Oh wow.
They get really mad, and I was like, people pay to come there to see you guys. Yeah, they paid admin, that they paid their to get in, and I mean, yeah, these guys charge for photos, and yeah, it's kind of their livelihood. I can see their point too, but fans come to see that stuff. You're gonna give them a hard time. They're taking a picture from a distance. It's not like he's trying to take a selfie like in front of him, being disrespectful like that. So you know, I I didn't care for that, and because they're busy, I didn't bother going to see them. You
Hmm.
know, I think Shatner there. I think Shatner was there that time too.
Well, I heard he's pricey.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done it just because he's getting old, and uh, like I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I idolized Captain Kirk when I was a kid, so I really wanted to do it. But then they always say, never meet your heroes. So, and I
Why
know he's
not? I
kind
met
of
Lisa. I always loved Lisa. She turned out
well,
to be lovely.
she's the exception to the rule, right?
Hmm.
She's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
but with Shatner, I didn't want another Frakes, where I go up and I'm expecting like the guy to be nice and warm and friendly and shake my hand. How you doing? Where you from? And then if he said nothing, I think I probably would have been heartbroken again. The same thing
Yep.
happened to me 30 years ago. I met Burton Cummings in Toronto, and I
Hmm.
waited out in the cold for him to come out because he's just doing a small show just at Young in College,
Hmm.
and he came out and he was hammered. He was just it was before he became sober again,
Hmm.
and he couldn't walk, and I tried to get his autograph, and he just kind of scribbled the thing, and I was so heartbroken. And I was like, I was so mad. I kind of crunched it up and I threw it back at him. And I was. So, so I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to meet somebody and like, uh, I wouldn't say get my feelings hurt, but just get let down like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
I haven't had any bad experiences really. Um, my experiences so far have been good. I did want to hear about Dom Wells because I did
Oh,
had Jeffrey Marks on in tribute to her,
oh wow.
and he shared a lot of stuff because he knew her personally, and of course, who didn't love Dom Wells? Talk about working with her.
Oh man. Um, I didn't get to work her. I wasn't working her line. I wasn't volunteering. I just went there as a guest.
Oh, okay.
I was spending as much time by her table as I could, and she was so warm and friendly. And
Mm-hmm.
um, she was probably her and Felix Silla were very reasonably priced for like table photos and autographs.
Mm-hmm.
They were like $20 each. So I
Oh,
was like, wow,
wow.
yeah, it was amazing. So I was like, yeah, like obviously I'm gonna go like get an autograph and everything. And
Add another zero, you get Corey Feldman.
yeah, yeah, that's not gonna happen. As much as I like the movies he's been in, and yeah, there's no way I'm spending $200 on that. Especially I'm gonna buy my daughter something instead, right? But
Mm-hmm.
no, Dawn was amazing, and I spent better part of the weekend talking to her, and just making small talk, and she was so. I was so enchanted by her that I didn't realize um, the guy played Michael Myers who was there that weekend. His name escapes me. Nick Castle, sorry. I
Castle,
didn't
yeah.
realize Nick Castle was sitting right beside her because I was so enamored by Dawn Wells, and I was just like,
Of
starstruck. I felt like a little
course.
boy. So I didn't even notice that he was sitting next to her the whole time. I was just like, making goo goo eyes at her. And yeah, no, she was amazing, and broke my heart when she passed away from COVID.
Yeah.
I just remember I was crying when I read that. I was like, no, not Dawn. She was so, like such a warm person. And as Jeffrey Mark had pointed out, he's good friends with her. And I think I had conversed with him a few times on Facebook about Don Wells. And uh, he's also done Lucille Ball and Ella Fitzgerald. And
He's done
read great
tributes
books.
on, yeah, he's done tributes on my show to Lucille Ball, Ella
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, Mary Tyler Moore,
Oh, wow.
um, Steve Allen, Milton Berle, and Dom Wells. He also came on three times talk about his own career.
Yeah.
And when I turned 50, he interviewed me.
That's awesome.
So he's been on here more than anybody.
So you
And
have his own podcast?
no, he said if he's always open to do. I haven't had him on this year,
Yeah.
but I'll probably get him on again maybe next year to talk about somebody. But he knows these people, so
Yeah.
he had hands-on experiences with these people. So he's always great, very well spoken,
Yeah.
great entertainer, Jeffrey Mark. So
Yeah.
he was in My Favorite Year as well. So
Wow.
so yeah.
Uh,
So
Peter O'Toole.
um yeah. So um anyway, I my first con, of course, was Horrorama,
Okay.
2017, and I worked with Lisa at that. And I remember it's probably my people ask me what my favorite con was. My favorite con was probably Horrorama 2017 because it was my first, and I was just and number one, I couldn't believe I wasn't homesick. I mean, I was
Yeah.
further away than Moncton or St. John, and yet I didn't want to go home. But Lisa was there, and our table was beside Leslie Donaldson, and Jason Das was um, Vernon Wells from the Road Warrior, who was he
Oh,
was
wow.
great. He
Yeah.
was great. Mink Stoll was there from Pink Flamingos.
Oh, wow.
John Russo was there from Night of the Living Dead.
Nice.
Ashley C. Williams was there from Human Centipede. I had to go meet her because she was stunning.
Yeah.
Carl Zitier was there, was a composer on Black Christmas, and they had a lot of interesting people there. And I had a lot of John Harrison was there from Effects.
Oh,
I had a
wow.
lot of fun there, and
No doubt.
George Romero's widow was there, and and then the following year I went to Horrorama 2018. I wasn't assisting anybody. I went as a guest. I still met up with Lisa and hung out with her quite a bit during my stay in Toronto. But I went to Horrorama 2018, and I think one of my biggest highlights was meeting Lynn Lowry from Shivers, and she
That's
was
awesome.
lovely. Yes. Met Linnea Quigley at that. The guy whose head exploded in Scanners, he was there. That was his first con.
Oh,
He had a great sense of humor too.
was it Michael Ironside?
No, the guy whose head exploded.
Trying to
Um,
think who that was.
his name is escaping me right now, but he was there, and right off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else. But then, after that, I did the Toronto Comic Con,
Oh wow.
and I almost didn't do that because I booked it to come into Toronto, but Lisa was going to be in Los Angeles. And I was like, well, I said, what if I need to reach out to her? What if I get lost? What if I need to reach out to her about something? She told me to go. She said, increase your brand. And I went, but I know what she was really doing. Hindsight's 2020. She wanted to see how I would do without her there.
Sure.
And you know what? I did well.
Yeah.
She called me that during that weekend to check up on me, and I said, "Yeah, you taught me well on the subways."
Yeah.
I had when I went to Toronto Comic Con, I got two. There were two guests. The guests were great. My father thought it was hilarious that I met Steve Urkel. But
Real white.
yeah, but there were two guests that really stood out. One was John Rhys Davies from Raiders of the
Oh,
Lost Ark.
amazing.
He would ask everybody what they did for a living, and he'd ask them their name. But he did one other thing. When I got my picture taken with him, he took his hand and went like this into my side, like a piano, to get me to react. He was doing that with everybody, and if you get a chance to read John Rhys Davies,
I'd
do
love
so.
to. I'd
He's
love to.
great.
Did he
Highly
do a line for
recommend.
you? Did he do the
Uh,
famous line? Snakes, very dangerous. You go first. He
no, I don't. I didn't even think of that. I got him to sign my Raiders of the Lost Ark Blu-ray sleeve.
oh, amazing.
And the other guy that really stood out to me was Corbin Burson.
Oh, wow.
Like
Wow.
he learned something that weekend. His handler taught him how to do selfies,
Wow.
and he was doing a lot of selfies just with his handler. He was like, "Man, I'm getting good at this." He's like, "Get over here and let's do another one."
Funny.
Corbin was great.
Oh, I
Corbin
would
was
love to have
great.
met him and Tom Berenger, but Berenger's I think he's canceled twice in the last 2 years. Like I guess he's got work and obviously he's gonna take work over like an appearance, and I understand that, but I still wanted to meet the two of them, but I didn't realize Corbin had been here. I've missed a few people at some of the Comic Cons because of either work or life or deaths in the family or whatever, that I've regretted later because um,
Well, those two are good. Then I went to um, Horrorama 2019, and I remember meeting Kansas Bowling, who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
oh nice,
I met her. She was one of the Manson girls.
yeah,
Um, One thing that stood out to me is that they had Lamberto Bava there, who is the son of Mario Bava.
okay,
And Lamberto was instrumental. He didn't do this for me, but if I ever meet him again, I'm going to thank him for this because back in 2016, the second year I was doing my podcast, I was trying to get Daria Nicolodi on my podcast from Deep Red, the Argento film.
yeah,
And she was very polite, but she turned me down. She was tired of talking about the 7 movies she did for Argento.
oh well,
And I left it at that. But when Deep Red was celebrating its anniversary,
uh-huh.
I reached out again. This would have been about 3 years later. I reached out again and I told her that I had met Lamberto Bava. She had done the last movie for Mario Bava, and she did one for Lamberto.
Uh,
And I remember the tweet back. She said this interview will probably not happen, but I indulged her. She came back at me and she said, I'll do the interview on two conditions. She said, one, she wants to talk about her love for Mario Bava. And two, she wants to talk about her love for her daughter, Asia Argento.
fair
And I
enough.
said, absolutely. And you know what? We did talk some Deep Red, and we talked a little on Suspiria, and
Yeah,
I asked her about working with Jennifer Connelly and Phenomenon, but I kept the Argento stuff as limited as I could.
sure.
By the end of the interview, she said, "You know what?" She was very apologetic, but she said she had a lot of fun doing this. She said she was happy she did the interview,
Wow, that's great.
and at the end of that year, she passed away.
Oh boy.
I am so happy I got that interview. And if I meet Lamberto Bava again, I'm going to thank him because I think he was one of the keys. And he didn't say nothing to her.
Yeah.
It was just that I had met him and that had struck a chord with her, you know? So I remember he was at Horrorama that year, and I got the Demons 1 and Demons 2 signed by him. And they had a bunch of the cast from that.
Where
After Yeah,
where's
that was
I've never heard of Horrorama. Where is that? In Toronto?
that's in Toronto. It's on Bathurst Street.
Really?
Yep. And it didn't happen this year because it's a smaller con. They get
Yeah.
about maybe a dozen guests,
Yeah, yeah.
but they try to get niche guests that a lot of cons don't have.
Yeah.
Although they have had D Wallace at one. 2018, I met D Wallace.
Oh, that's
He's been
amazing.
a guest. He's been a guest a couple times on here. But it was after that I started doing the Frightmare in the Falls. And I did this is my third Frightmare in the Falls, and I did one more Horrorama. Last year at Horrorama, I got to meet somebody I had on the show in 2016, and it
Was
was
that?
somebody I couldn't wait to meet in person, and that was Caroline Monroe.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, it was so
Wow.
nice to meet her in person, and I'm hoping to get her on again. But I had her on the show in 2016 and meet them. She was busy both days at Horrorama, very busy. And I had Tom Matthews there. Tom Matthews did both cons, that and Frightmare.
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
Yep. So
Who's
I met him both days.
now who's his name escapes me at the moment, but he was super nice. He showed up with his wife. He was from the Friday the 13th, where it wasn't Jason. He was Roy, the ambulance driver.
Yeah, Dick
What's his name?
Wien from Part
Ah, thank
5.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Oh man, yeah, I've seen him at twice. I think he was there in 2018, my first one. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he was reasonably priced again. I think he was in the same price range as Don Wells.
If they ever get Melanie Kinnaman there, I'm gonna melt.
Got to talk to James Ponce.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
great.
yeah, nonetheless, I had a great time at these cons, and
Right?
I think one of my funniest experiences at this particular con was this is the second time I've met Dave Sheraton, who was Officer Doofy in
Yeah,
and Scary Movie, and he was right beside Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp.
yeah,
And I was up to get an autograph by Christy Swanson. And
yeah.
of course, there was a picture of her on her table of her in a bikini. Well, I knew I was going to get signed. Yeah,
That's amazing.
but yeah, but
Did you meet her husband?
yeah,
He's a great guy. Did you ever follow figure skating?
no.
Oh yeah, he's a Canadian figure skater, Lloyd Eisler. He's quite
Okay.
popular in the early '90s there. I recognized him before I recognized her. I was like, "What's this guy doing here?" And then I looked it up on online, and I didn't realize they were married. And I was like, "Oh wow, that's amazing." So
Well,
luckily I
what?
got to see them at the end,
Well,
just
you
as
want me to tell
background.
you what was funny?
Yeah, yeah,
What was funny was they had Melissa Rose. This is the second time I've met her, and I'm going
yeah,
to tell you, you what? I went to see her again because meeting her the first time was such a thrill.
yeah.
She is constantly on at these cons. You
Uh-huh.
want to? She's totally in the mood. In the mode.
Yeah.
She's she is turned. You want to talk about Spinal Tap going to the 11? She's 11. She's turned up to 11. And Felissa Rose is an absolute charm to meet.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the second time meeting her, but this time there was something different on her table. She had a picture of her at the. Have you seen Sleepaway Camp?
I have not seen it recently, but I've seen it a long time ago.
Well, you know the story about her actually being a guy at the end of it with a dick.
Yeah.
And well,
Oh,
there was a picture of that on the table, and I'd never seen it on the table on the con I seen her at before, but the picture, her making the face and the scary face, and it had the dick,
yeah.
and that caught the attention of Chrissy Swanson, and she was looking at that, and she was like, she didn't know what to make of it. Well, Felissa Rose took one of those little sticky notes and drew a dick on it and stuck it on the bikini pic of Christy Swanson. And Christy Swanson looked at that and she goes, "Hey, why is it so small?"
That's awesome. That is so funny.
Another funny story I have was last year. Last year, I met Michael Berryman and Bill Moseley. And
Nice.
I took Devil's Rejects, my
Yeah,
Blu-ray for that to get signed. I did not recognize Bill Moseley.
yeah,
Like he does not look hulking and intimidating like he does in those movies. He looks so small.
yeah,
But I walked up to Bill and I said, "How beautiful is Sherry Moon Zombie in person?" And he goes, "Well, that might be a Michael Berryman question." So I looked at Michael Berryman, who was signing something for me, and I said, "Michael Berryman, how beautiful was Sherry Moon Zombie in person?" And he said she was absolutely beautiful,
yeah.
gorgeous, stunning. And I said, she as beautiful as Bill Moseley here?" And he goes, "Anyone's prettier than that thing." Bill
That's Mrs.
Moseley
Berryman.
sta- Bill Moseley standing there with his jaw dropped. He's like, "Hey, I thought we were friends."
That's hilarious.
I love stories like that, you
That's
know.
so funny.
You got any funny con stories like that? I know it's mostly me talking here, but
No, no, no. I love listening. Um, I'm trying to think. Uh,
Don Wells ever share any funny stories?
I try to ask them, but she was so busy.
I
Like
bet.
everybody was just lined up, and they're like me. Their tongues are hanging out, and they're just like wide eyed, and they're so giddy. And I don't want to get anybody's way. And even when I was approaching tables, like Andrew from Revenge of the Nerds, Worms are. I'm not even going to attempt his last name again. But I just came up. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't want to intrude." And he thought that was the funniest thing because I'm always respectful to the celebrities. That I don't want to bother. If he's in the middle of a conversation, I want to interrupt him and demand his time and dance monkey dance kind of thing.
Hmm.
But no, he was awesome. But yeah, they Jerry Mathers, the Beaver. He was at the June Comic Con and he was at the table next to Tom Arnold. So it's Tom Arnold. My table was Henry Thomas from ET, and I was
Hmm.
working his line. He had his own handler. What's
What
his
was Henry
and
Thomas like?
oh, he's amazing. He's hilarious.
Hmm.
He likes to drink. He likes his beer. I mean, he's not a drunk, but he likes his beer, and
If
because
Gene
I'm such a
Wallace was there.
no, he's great, man. Like I I had to ask him. I said, like I said, you're so kind to the guests, and you're so warm and welcoming when they come up, and you're so eager to answer their questions. I said, but after 40 years, you get tired about talking about ET? And he kind of giggled and said, yeah, but it's his bread and butter. So, I mean, as tired as you get about, talking about the same thing over and over and over again. But I mean, that's what he's known for. Like, you say Henry Thomas, or boom, everybody thinks ET. But
Hmm.
the funny thing that happened when he was there, I guess I could share this because it was me saying it. Uh, some, well, they look like extras from The Hills Have Eyes,
Okay.
just like hillbillies with bad teeth. And I don't know if they're in cosplay, but they were mumbling something to Henry, and I was like, "Geez, man." Said it's lucky that ET didn't land in their backyard, or they probably would have murdered him with a hammer, right? So we started laughing. We were laughing for about 5 minutes because it was really funny, and they were like looking over at us. But yeah, it was pretty funny, and he was making funny little remarks too throughout the con. That we were like totally thrown off because we weren't expecting him to be so funny and just come up with these little comments that were hilarious. But he was a nice guy. He asked me, he's like, Justin, are you a drinking man? I was like, well, I don't drink, but I was like, I'm not allowed to drink while I'm working because I'm such a nerd. Why did I say that? I should have said yes, because he came back with an extra beer, and then because I had said no, it's like, oh, more for me. I was like, geez, I could have shared a beer with Henry Thomas, which that would have been pretty cool. But I'm so stupid that when I'm working, like I'm like so straight laced, and oh, I got to do my job. I shouldn't
Hmm.
have done it, right? I could have just like put it in a paper bag like a hobo and drank it there. Nobody would have been the wiser. But um, I was eager to talk to Jerry Mathers because that's why I wanted to work that line because he was there. Because I thought the show was so funny, like Eddie Haskell, how we'd walk up to Wally and he would just go call him Sam, like, "Hey Sam," and they wouldn't say, "Hey, my name's Wally," or they would just go with it. And I thought it was the funniest thing, him just calling them random names. So I asked Jerry Mathers, like, was there anything to that? Was that something that, Ken Osmond, who played Eddie Haskell, did he come up with it? And he almost seemed like annoyed by the question. He's like, listen, we just read our lines. They wrote the scripts and we just read it. That's it. I was like, okay, well, thank you for that. And I kind of like, squirreled away and like, skirted away rather. But yeah, like he was pretty cool. Like he took some awesome pictures, and Tom Arnold eventually warmed up to people because I know his handler had said the first day he was there, he was like, "Mr. Arnold, it's just trying to get like get a feel for the celebrity. Like, do you want people coming up and saying hello? Are you willing to do that, or do you want just people up here strictly business? Because some celebrities are like that they won't allow people to just come up and shake their hand and say hi if they're not paying for something, right? Um, so usually as a handler, that's what you do at the beginning. You like feel out the celebrity, you find out what they like, what they don't like, what they want, what they don't, whatever. And he didn't even look at the handler. I don't want to say who it was. I want to keep him anonymous, but he didn't even look in his direction. He's like, talk to her. She'll tell you. I was like, wow, that was cold.
Tom Arnold was supposed to be at Frightmare in the Falls, either the year before last or last year. There was one of them, and he ended up canceling. Um, it's funny because I would have gone to meet him, but I didn't know what he was like. I find it interesting some of the people right now. Like I remember one of cons are becoming such a money-making thing. Like now it's like autographs are getting a little more pricey, and but I remember one of the comic cons, I mean John Travolta was at it,
Wow.
and I would have paid to meet John. I like John.
Definitely.
But I mean I'm hearing that there was one con that I think it was Steel City Con had Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo,
Wow.
and I'm kind of like, these are people. I mean, I know you get your William Shatners and stuff, going people like that going to them, but we're starting to get into people that, looked like they were out of range for a con
Yeah.
doing these cons now. And I don't know where this is going to go. Maybe down the line, I'll get to meet my current crush, Emma Stone.
Hey, you know what? Chevy was at Fan Expo in Toronto this August. I think I'm not sure if Beverly was there, but I know some of the people from Vacation, like the original Rusty and Audrey,
Mhm.
that were also there. I'm sure Emma Stone will eventually make her way up here. You know, if she made it to Frightmare, I'll make sure I'm working that line, and I can get you in there.
Oh
But
man, I would
what
love to meet
I've
Emma
been
Stone.
avoiding Fan Expo because it's 4 days, and I
Yeah.
could barely last on my feet for three because it's so tiring and it's so huge. And the two things that are scaring me away is the first of all parking and the 4 days. You know, other than that, if I was able to stay in the city with a friend, um, and just take the transit down there, I'd love to do it. Uh, it's my goal to try to volunteer this year. I don't think I'm going to get any handling work because I'm not sure who does it for Fan Expo, but I have some contacts, other volunteers who could get me in as a volunteer or give me the info to volunteer. But you should look into it yourself, man, because it's pretty awesome. They'll ask you, where do you want to work, and the first thing I said was, celebrity lines, because I want to work beside them and talk to them and like, throw in a few questions here or there, but still keep my distance and show respect. But they're like, well, where do you want to work? So for my first one, I was like, I don't know, William Shatner. They all started laughing. They're like, yeah, we're not putting you with Shatner. They said not for the
I would
first
say I
try.
want to work with Emma Stone. I'd be
Why
like
not?
jaw dropped all week.
But my first volunteering gig. You know who I ended up working with was Brad Dourif from
Ah, Chucky.
Child's Play. Yeah, Chucky. That was my
Hmm.
first gig.
What was he like?
Oh, he was amazing. He was awesome. He was so friendly. And I waited till the end again to. He signed my. Where is it? One of my shirts here. I think the blue one, maybe. I can't find it. Or it was the black one, I think. Ralph. One of them. But anyways, yeah, he was so cool, and I never assumed that they're gonna do it for nothing, like an autograph for a picture. So I had money in hand, and I was getting ready to pay him for a photo because I said I got to get a picture with Chucky, right? And I loved him in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as Billy Bevitt. Although I know he doesn't like talking about that movie so much because everybody's always asking about Jack Nicholson, but I loved his performance, and I love him as an actor. And I was telling him that, and when I asked, to get a picture with him and pay for it, he said, "No, no, no, your staff, you helped me out so much this weekend. Thank you." He was so appreciative, and I figure easily he had to have made $250,000 that weekend, just from everything I saw being signed and how much he was charging per signature. And there was lineups were huge. And that was my first like volunteer gig. I was thinking to myself, you know what? He did about as much as Shatner, so I could have taken care of Shatner no problem. Shatner was just limited time, that he's only there for a couple hours, and then he jumped on his golf cart and then zoomed out the back. You know?
It's strange you say that because Corey Feldman was the most pricey at
Yeah,
this year's Frightmare, and yet he still had a lineup of people. I mean, people can complain about prices all they want to. If they're still going to go, they're going to go.
yeah. Right.
Um,
Like, and people think too, when am I going to get a chance to see him again? Right? Like, uh,
yep.
and that's why I wanted to meet the Texas Chainsaw guys because they're getting up there in age, and I
Well,
was
they're
thinking, well,
39.
what's that?
They're 39.
Right?
Yeah, they're 39 years old. They're not that old.
Right? But if it's, I think about what if they're not going to do another con, take advantage of the fact that they're here now, and then especially
Hmm.
Corey, canceled so many times before that people are like, well, he's here, he's a little pricey, but they'll bite the bullet and pay to see him and pay to get the autograph because he is iconic. He was buddies with Michael Jackson, and he's starting to look like Michael Jackson with the hair and the,
Oh my
the
goodness.
sunglasses and that costume he was wearing. I bet Michael Jackson probably gave it to him, because I know he's got a hat and sunglasses from Michael. I don't know if he was wearing them. I didn't get a chance to talk to him because, well, I knew his handler. Well, not personally, but I know the guy there. He's been at a few cons. He's a really nice guy, Dave.
Hmm.
Uh, that must have been a thrill for him working with Corey, like as his handler. But there wasn't really opportunities to talk, or even during the quiet periods when he came back on Sunday for an hour, because not a lot of people knew he was coming back just for an hour. Uh, yeah, there wasn't really an opportunity to, throw in a question or hey, Corey, are those Michael's glasses? Because he doesn't like talking about Michael either, right? He
Hmm.
doesn't like to talk about it in a negative way. And, people have tried to interview him over the years, about all the stuff. Because that Neverland's, was it called Finding Neverland or something?
Hmm.
That thing that did on, was it Netflix, about alleged abuse that happened in Neverland?
Hmm.
And he doesn't want to talk about that, obviously. And I wouldn't have brought it up. Funny thing is, when I worked at Hamilton, one thing I've never seen at Comic Cons, uh, anytime I've worked at them or anytime I've been a guest, is anybody being negative, because everybody's always positive, everybody's happy, they see the celebrities. But there was a guy there who was he was just going around pissing people off, and he just didn't understand. Yeah, he was asking dumb questions and like kind of racy questions where they're like, "That's a little inappropriate," but he wasn't taking the cue. He was just, first he started off with Jeffrey from The Fresh Prince, Joseph Marcel,
Hmm.
and somebody got a picture, and you could see that he was annoyed. Like, and this guy's standing there, and he's just like, he's not getting it. Like, shut the hell up and get lost, right? But I'd never seen that before. And then he went to DJ Qualls, who was in Road Trip and other things, of course, the new guy. Um,
Hmm.
and I was over there, and I was about to like get an autograph and a picture, and he had pissed him off to the point where he had to get up and go for a walk. So like, there goes my opportunity. So, but this guy, I'd never seen him at any other of the cons, and I think he was just he was lacking social graces, and he wasn't taking hints. Like when people are like, "Okay, like you're not funny." He was talking about Tom Green. He was like, "Yeah, but that guy in real life, he's an idiot." He's like, "You don't know the guy, just
I've
because you."
met Tom Green.
Yeah, he's cool, man.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
he's the opposite of the people he plays in the movies or on his show. But this guy assumed that he knew him personally because he had seen his movie or his television show on MTV. And DJ was like getting pissed off. He says, "I hate people when they come up and pretend like they know a celebrity just because they've seen their movie or they've seen their hijinks or they read something in People magazine." So he was getting mad, and he was like, it was funny what he said. Part of my language or my French, as it were. But he's like, "Well, that was a cunty question." I was like, "Oh shit." You know, I've never seen a celebrity react like that. Like I've seen them, sometimes standoffish, like Tom Arnold was the first day, but he warmed up to everybody and he was cool by the end. But I'd never seen like a guest get upset with a fan, like to the point where he had to go for a walk and cool off.
Did he approach anybody else?
Well, after that, I talked to security about maybe helping him to the exit because I was I mean, myself, I used to work in security for a long period of time. And I mean, I was thinking of doing it myself, but the handler was standing there and never said, anything like, can you know? So
You
I
know
didn't
something?
overstep my boundaries, but at the same time, I could see he was uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah, maybe, like you should, cut it out. I was trying to say it in a nice way, but this guy wasn't getting it. He thought he was
It's
being funny or something, right?
it's interesting
So,
you say that because I heard a horror con story last night. I had the gorgeous Max Wazza on my show last night. She was in Porky's and she was in stuff like that. And she's been in a lot of indie movies. She is still as beautiful now.
oh,
I
yeah,
saw her on Zoom. I was like gushing. But
right.
I asked her about cons, and she said she had a lot of interesting con stories, but she told me one off the top of her head, and I could not believe somebody did this.
Yeah,
This guy comes up and gets a picture with her,
yeah,
and all was good. Then he comes back with his son,
yeah,
and he asked her if she would take her boob out in the picture with his son. And not only was she repelled by it, but his son was 8 years old.
oh, jeez.
And
Wow,
yeah. And she refused. She took a picture with his son, but not like that.
wow.
And
What were people thinking?
well, that didn't stop there. He comes back over again and he had his wife on the phone, and his wife chewed her out for not doing the picture. And she was like, wow. And then he didn't stop there. He went down to where I guess Cameron Electra's table was
Yeah.
and desecrated on her table.
Wow.
And I guess she said um the llama character from Greece, the jock,
Yeah,
had
yeah,
said, I guess she had said that he said, "Look what you did." And I said to Max, I said, "You didn't do anything."
yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, who asked somebody to stick their tit out at an 8-year-old boy? You
Like what,
know,
beating or like the
huh?
breastfeeding?
I don't know. I mean,
That's ridiculous.
she's a gorgeous woman. I mean, I could see if the kid was in that mindset, I wouldn't blame him. But at the same token,
Yeah.
that is like pedophilia right there. She's not going to go for that.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow,
But
that's
this
insane.
guy, well, he was taken away in handcuffs, I guess,
Good.
you
That's what it
know.
should be.
But
You
I
got
heard
the,
that I heard that story and I was like, holy cow, it's like,
yeah.
and but she had a good head on her shoulders. She was a fun woman to interview, but I could not believe that story
That's
that
nuts.
some idiot would, because that potentially can ruin things for fans coming afterwards too.
Sure, yeah. Like, which was the case for me with DJ Qualls, because after that, he was in a pissy mood and he didn't really want to take any pictures. And I don't know if he ended up going home early, but there went my opportunity because, yeah, he wasn't in a good mood. And I don't know if he was even signing anything. He was just talking to the handler and he kind of had his face buried in his phone after that. So, yeah, that was a piss off because, yeah, I loved him in Road Trip and wanted to get a picture with him because he was funny. But there was another incident. I don't know if you heard about it at Frightmare this year, where a
Oh,
volunteer struck one of the guests, like punched the guy in the chest. She got physically removed and banned from any con events uh, at Scotiabank Center there for the next 6 years.
who did she assault?
Apparently, there was somebody who was talking to somebody in the line, and she said, "Oh no, you can't jump the line. There's no butting in the line." And he said, "What? Like I'm talking to my friend here, like whatever." And she was being really aggressive, and he was like, no, "I'm not trying to get into the line. I'm at the back of the line anyways. I thought I'd come over and talk to my friend." And this is from what I heard, so it's not firsthand information, but this is just me retelling what was told to me by the other volunteers who were there. So, and then I guess he was being cheeky with her by saying, "Hey, look, I'm jumping the line. Blah blah blah. Look at me, right?" And apparently she struck him in the chest, like just went over and punched him. Like I think he said, "What are you going to do about it?" or something like that. But again, this is their,
He shouldn't have said anything like that, but
at the same time, you can't be punching people either. I don't
no.
know if that's actually what happened. That's what led up to it. All I can confirm that is that the assault took place, which is weird. Like again at a con, like I've seen people get upset because they had to wait for a long period of time and squabbling in the line with each other, but I've never actually seen an assault or anything like that. But I was like, wow, and especially somebody like I don't want to mention the person's name because I don't want to get involved in that drama, but she had been at just about every con that I have, uh, and I never had a problem with her. I don't
Mhm.
generally have a lot of problems with anybody. I get along with everybody, and I'm friendly to everybody, and I'm there to have a good time, and I'm happy.
Mhm.
You some of the fans who are pushy or don't understand, they'll stand around and they'll just be standing there, and you kind of gotta shoot them along and say, "Well, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, you got to keep this area clear. Thank you for coming." But I would never think to put my hand on somebody. You know,
Mhm.
I would call security. I'm not paid to be security there. And you seen Antonio, like who wants to mess with that guy? You just fluck him like an insect, and that's the end of him, right? but but for the most part, the cons are like an amazing place to be. There's such love in the air. Did you meet Doug Jones?
I didn't meet him, no.
That guy is just pure love. Like just the way my goodness, the way he interacts. I almost because I've been wanting to meet Doug for a long time, so I was kind of nervous, and I was like, I had my eyes closed because it's not that I was going to faint or anything, but I was just like, I was so nervous that I didn't want to pass out. So I guess that is fainting, but he just comes up and he just gives people just full hugs and just holds their face, and he's grabbing my face like, "Oh, who's a good boy?" He was doing that to me. It was really funny. So I got a couple of good pictures with him. But he was amazing. Like his table was constantly busy as well because he's in
Want
Star
me to
Trek
tell you who I
Discovery.
was nervous to meet?
Who's that?
I get nervous around beautiful women a lot of times, and I had met, like I saw Laura Vandervoort,
Oh wow.
and she was dressed in a black leather jacket, and I was like, oh my goodness, my goosebumps were going all over me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I was nervous to go over there, but I went over. I had to meet her.
Yeah, right.
Oh my
Supergirl, right?
goodness, like yeah, and I was looking at her, like looking at her right in the face, and I was like, man, she really is that gorgeous.
Right. Let's
Yeah,
see. I got her. She autographed my shirt here. I don't know if you
yeah.
can see it right here.
What's
XOXO Supergirl.
what signatures you got on that?
Let's see. The Sons of Anarchy at the top.
Uh-huh. What
Uh,
about Daughters of Anarchy?
uh, I guess, yeah. I didn't get Ron Perlman because he was only there the one day, but I got Kim Coates and Kenny Johnston and the other guys. Oh, I got Veronica Taylor, who
Hmm.
is Ash in Pokemon. I got an
Yeah,
autograph.
I didn't meet her, no.
She was amazing. I got her because my daughter's a huge Pokemon fan,
Hmm.
and when I told her I got Ash's autograph, she's like, "Wow." She almost like passed out because I got an autographed picture of the cartoon, and she was so happy. Joseph Marcel,
Hmm.
he autographed my titty, as he put it, right there because I don't usually do the front. Oh, Tom Morga, he's
Yep.
number 5.
Hmm.
Uh, that was just a volunteer from last June, not this June, the June before. Oh, there goes Elvis, one of my Funko Pops. I got it. I'm in my office, so I
Hmm.
got everything so tightly together, and I got the divider. Uh,
Okay, who's signed the yellow shirt?
oh, that was from Hamilton. I didn't get it
Okay.
signed by as many people as I wanted, but I got Larry Wilcox from Chips here.
I've interviewed him.
Isn't he amazing? What
He
a guy! Like
is.
he is like what you'd call a man's man.
He
Like
is.
he's so like cool. He just walks along. He just gives you a smile and a thumbs up, and I'm like, wow, what a cool guy.
Hmm.
Who else did I get? Oh, what's his name? From the Mighty Ducks, the goalie. Um,
I
Sean.
wouldn't know. It's a
Yeah. Well, I got his autograph. I got Jordan Prentice, who played Howard the Duck. Who else is here?
Dory's proud of that.
Tanya Ross. I forget who else. And somebody called me a meatball and wrote on the back of my shirt. One of my friends who, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Kaylee, when I saw her, I was nervous because I was with somebody else and I accidentally called her another name, and the name I called her was a name that is popular around those parts. So I thought she was going to murder me in the parking lot with a hammer. But yeah, the most proud is this one because I got Tom Morga and Supergirl and oh, Alex Vincent, who played Andy in um, Child's Play, of course, and I believe Tom Morga. I thought I had. No, I didn't. I thought I got
Now,
my
those
guy.
signatures won't wash off the shirt, will they?
No, no, I keep those in the closet. I just put them out for the interview. I just hung them out
Okay.
there so you can have a look at them. I met Lex Luthor from Smallville there,
Hmm.
and so he signed my shirt, right? So he signed my back, and he
Hmm.
was behind me. So I said, I was telling him, yeah, I love your podcast, Inside of You. I watch it all the time. It's great. I said, I love that Indiana Jones. He's got like an Indiana Jones figure there. It looks so cool. And then I turned around, he was gone. I thought he was still there. I turned around, he had vanished on me. I was like, I felt like an idiot. So I was wondering how long was I talking to myself. He had signed it and probably just walked away because he was with the guys from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
I guess they're
nice.
all leaving for lunch or something. So those guys are super cool too, and they signed my shirt. Jerry Mathers. I got who else? What's his name? Tom Arnold signed it
Hmm.
somewhere. Oh, I got Wendell Clark and Rick Vaive from the Leafs. They were there. They're at the opposite end of where I was working, so I didn't get a chance to talk to them. I was dying to talk to them because I'm a huge Leafs fan, right? And these guys are like legendary captains. Uh, Wendell Clark's handler was a friend named Bonnie. She's one of the handlers, and oh, she was so lucky. She got to sit with him. She got some autographed stuff. I was like, oh man, like I was so jealous, right? Uh, and who else was there? Um, uh, yeah, that whole end, there was so many people. The drummer from the Go Go's, her name escapes me, but she was there. There was just like so many people. I was so overwhelmed, but you know, I was just happy. Oh, Henry Thomas, he saw my shirt too. He
Hmm.
was the first one I got right in the middle. I made sure I got him. And yeah, I keep this in the closet with plastic. So, like if there was a water leak or anything, I wouldn't want any of this stuff to run. But I usually just keep it in the closet, and I try not to wear it. Like Lisa's shirt that she gave me, I want to get her to sign it at some point. But um, again, like they're people, and I don't want to like invade their privacy and ask them for things. And if she doesn't offer to do it, I don't want to bother her with it.
Oh, Lisa would have done it.
I didn't want to bother her, but it
Oh,
felt like
Lisa would have done it. She would have done it. She would have definitely done it.
oh yeah, but like what? I always have the respect for them as people because I don't want to bother them. You know, because I'm a big fan and I'm a big nerd. So, and I always respect their privacy like that. So even though she was amazing, and I was so happy to hang out with you guys all weekend, and we had dinner a couple of times, which was amazing. And she's so thoughtful. Like anytime she'd go to the green room for her lunch, she'd always bring us back something. She's always thinking of
Yeah.
us. So I'm like, oh, that's
Oh, I have a
amazing.
story there. She brought us back. It was a cup and it had chicken and rice in it. And I was eating the chicken out and it had rice in the bottom, but I didn't have a fork.
Right?
So
You like shoot it in your mouth
I,
like a
s- I was doing like that with the rice. There was a couple of women by the Evil Dead girls table going,
yeah.
chug it, chug it, chug it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, uh, generally speaking, I've never had a bad experience at the cons. Knock on wood. I was very lucky. Three people signed for free for me. John Dugan did, and he
Wow.
said he said to me, because he did my podcast, and I'm like, yeah, but people that want to listen to me, they want to listen to you.
Yeah,
But he told me, look, if you see me in the hotel lobby, you can buy me a beer. So I bought him a beer.
you did.
You know,
Was that
but
his daughter he was with, or was it his wife?
I don't know.
I didn't
I
want
don't
to
know.
ask, and I don't want to offend him because if it was his wife, she looked good,
Yeah,
for her
and
age.
Alan DeZager from Texas Chainsaw, he was happy to see me because he was on the show back in 2019, and
Is that right?
he's got another project coming up, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm glad we connect because I wonder if I can come on your show and advertise the Weed Hacker Massacre." And I'm like, "Okay." So, that happened. Um, Damien Leone from the director of Terrifier
Yeah,
signed for me for free, which because he said I was helping Lisa, but I'm like, I didn't mind paying for it.
yeah.
And Ari Lee Min ended up signing for free from Friday the 13th. So,
Wow,
yep.
you're lucky.
Um,
He was right beside us, but because he was busy and he was doing his own thing, I didn't even I didn't ask him. And by the time I thought, okay, it's quiet enough to ask him, he'd already left, and I was like,
well, I remember we went to the after show and you didn't, or after party, and you didn't stay long. You know what? I ended up staying longer than I thought I was going to
yeah,
because I love blood opera and I know those guys and they live in Hamilton, so they're yeah.
that's awesome.
But Um, I filmed a few things there. The biggest viewing is the stunt Pepper did this stunt where he was breaking his own records setting off animal traps with his hand. And I filmed that. And it's got
Oh
over
wow,
250 views right now. I'm like, okay. Um,
funny.
then I filmed Blood Opera performing two or three songs.
That's awesome.
And then I filmed Ari Lehman performing, I think maybe one song and getting ready to do a second, but I was like, I had to be at the con for 10 o'clock for Lisa. My
Yeah,
friggin' alarm on my phone did not go off. I did get there in time though, but
you were close enough.
yeah. Well, I wanted to get over to the hotel there because I wasn't staying at the same hotel as her. So I
Yeah,
wanted to get over there so that I could assist her if she needed help with her bags.
for you.
Anyway, I made it. I made it, but
That was the only reason
nonetheless,
I didn't stay at the after party because I was so wiped and I was so tired. And then I was bummed out because I just found out Matthew Perry had died.
yeah,
I was like, oh no. So I wanted to stay. It looked like a cool vibe. Um, and we're Lisa's guests, so that was awesome. I was hoping to see some more people, but I
they
think
didn't have it. None of the other guests outside Ari Lee Min, none of the other guests seemed to be there, you know.
yeah, I think
But
everybody was just tired, getting up early and dealing. They're probably at the bar across the street, the Radisson, because everybody seemed to enjoy that vibe because it was a nice quiet little spot, and uh, for the most part, nobody was really bothering the guests. I mean, that nice young girl that we had met there from I remember she was from, or was it Coburg?
I
Uh,
don't know.
she was from out of town. She was doing a conference there and she was uh, helps out with the United Way, and she was doing all this great stuff for uh, Native Indian youth. So that's why she was in the hotel. And then Lisa had started talking to her, and her sister was big into horror movies. So she's like, "Hey, Ron Perlman's over there. You want to meet him?" And I was like, "Oh, so cool, yeah." So she got a bunch of pictures, and her sister's probably so envious of her. And I think that was the most fan interaction I saw at the bar because everybody else was just chill. I still don't know who bought my drink because I realized the next day I was like, "Hey, wait a minute! I never paid for my beer." So when I walked the second night after we finished dinner at Turtle Jack's, I
Mhm.
walked you guys over, and then I went to the bar to settle the tab. I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't think I paid for my drink last night." She's like, "Well, I didn't come up short on my tally at the end of the night." So I was thinking, "Geez, I don't know who bought it. Maybe it was that girl that we got the pictures with and everything." Because you know, I certainly didn't pay, and I'd forgotten, right? So I felt like a deadbeat, but it
I
seemed to
remember
work itself
Turtle
up.
Jacks.
Pardon?
I remember Turtle Jacks,
It was
we
nice,
were
wasn't it? Food was
well,
pretty good.
I remember at the up at the counter, I saw Kimberly Beck,
All
Trish
right.
Jarvis from Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I had seen her and I asked her if she wanted to join us, but she was tired. The reason she was wearing a mask is because she had a cold,
Oh, okay.
so that's why she was wearing one. And she just wanted to go back and sleep and get ready for the following day, the last day of the con. But she was a delight to meet. But
She was.
remember we went to that restaurant there, and the vibe got killed because friggin' woman was having a spell there.
Oh, right. At Outback. Yeah, that bag lady came in and started like making these horrible retching noises, and I think she had vomited on the floor and was just like these. I usually have a strong stomach for these things because I worked in the hospitals for a number of years. I worked as a porter, healthcare aide. I've done security. I've done all kinds of things. I've worked out of the morgue. I've done like gross things in the hospital. So, like I'd say I have a fairly strong stomach, but just I guess at the end of the day, I was tired. I wasn't expecting it, and then this woman came in, and I guess they know her from the neighborhood. I don't know if she fakes these things to try to sue the restaurant. I don't know what she was up to, but security seemed to know her pretty good, and yeah, that kind of killed the vibe there. So it was lucky because I enjoyed Turtle Jacks a lot more than I think I would have enjoyed Outback. Well,
Hmm.
especially with that, but that was wild. I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
to ever see something like that. That was crazy, you know?
I enjoyed the food we had at the restaurant in the Marriott when we went up top there.
Oh, Milestones.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty
Milestones.
good.
That was really good, you know.
And we were surrounded by well, John Duggan was over there, Dugan, Grandpa.
Yeah,
He was
but
at a table.
that was downstairs, but up there in the Milestone, I mean, Sandy Johnson and her husband Dan showed up there, and of course, sitting just on the other side of us was Christy Swanson.
Yeah, I saw them. I saw them in the corner of my eye, and I was like, I don't want to bother them because they're eating, right? But yeah,
Hmm.
no, I definitely noticed that. But speaking of masks, um, last year June at the Comic Con, uh, I was dying to meet Curtis Armstrong because I bought his book. He was Booger and Revenge of the Nerd, so I thought he was hilarious.
Risky business.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got all these awesome movies that he's been. He was in Supernatural. That so he's been in all these things, but when I saw him, I wasn't expecting him to be this like skinny little old man. He looked like a skinny little old man, and he was wearing a mask. So nobody knew who the hell he was because he was just sitting there and like, he's obviously his appearance has changed. He's gotten older. Yeah, fair enough. But they're expecting when we were wearing a "Who Farted" T-shirt or something so people could recognize him. So I think he was getting pissed off because nobody was coming to his table, and I had my bag, that same bag that I always have with me, and I had his book in there, and I was going to go over there, and, pay to have it signed, but just because he was being so sour with everybody, I was like, oh man, I don't want to go
I
over.
would have went over and I would have got him to sign my book. I would have done that.
I'll have to wait till next
I
time,
mean, number one, it's his book. I mean, you're
right?
paying him a huge compliment.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I he wasn't very welcoming, and his vibe was like, he was giving off a bad vibe, so I didn't want to go over there and like potentially get yelled at, and then have another one of these celebrities that I looked up to as a kid, just like crush my soul, like Jonathan Frakes. But it's funny. I watched him being interviewed. I saw him in Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum there, and he's like so friendly. He's so personable. But so like, did I catch him at a wrong moment? Like, because I was like,
Maybe.
I was so let down. Like, I want to say I went home and cried on my pillow, but I was close to doing it because I was like, not number one, not not Will Riker, right? So, and then with Booger too, I was like, I don't want to go over there and like get crapped on by Booger because he's having a bad con and nobody recognizes him. But to be fair, he was wearing the mask. Um, just from what I understand from the other celebrity, I think Brad Dourif told me that his parents had passed away from COVID. So, both his parents had died. So he was super paranoid about getting COVID. And that's why he was one of the ones with the mask on still. And there's still a bunch of masks because we're still just getting over COVID. And I can understand that. But it's just because he was in such a sour mood, right? Like I always say, I try to respect their privacy, but at the same time, when I'm on my time to go get things signed and, I'm willing to pay for it, obviously. I just I didn't want another letdown, right? So
I would have asked him to sign the book. I mean, it's his book, so
yeah,
I yeah, I wouldn't have felt nervous about that at all.
I've since bought another one, so now I got two copies. So I'm hoping that he does another con and he's a little more receptive to the fans, so I can get those signed because
Well, you know what? There's nothing worse than like you go to a con. I hate seeing people sitting there and no lineup.
yeah,
It's depressing, and I've seen that. In fact, I've seen it at this con, and it's sad when you get people that show up there
yeah,
and then fans aren't going to see them. And it's it's a depressing thing to see, and it must play heavily on somebody's self-esteem,
sure, yeah.
you know.
Thinking like, what? I'm not famous enough for you, like. And I know it's not about the money, but it's about like what you said, self esteem. Because I mean, I totally agree because any other ones I've done, where I'm thinking to myself, do you guys not know who's sitting there? Like, why isn't anybody, getting autographs? And I'm like puzzled, like Dave Roy was there at Frightmare in the Falls. And he's been in so many things as well. Like, I think he was in Return of the Jedi. Oh, he was one of the band members at Jabba's palace in Return
Okay.
of the Jedi. But I went up to him and he said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." They put his head back down. He's back in his phone. So I was like, I guess he's pissed off too because not a lot of people are lining up for him.
I almost, had it not been for Lisa doing this con,
Yeah,
I would have pulled out of it, and I'll tell you why. I was on the Frightmare in the Falls Facebook page,
yeah,
and I had to put a few assholes in their place.
sure,
You know, it's like, number one, when I say people don't listen to this channel to hear me, it's my way of honoring the guest. And
sure.
I'll have anybody on my show. Jeepers, I had somebody I worked with at the cleaning company I'm at on the show. I don't discriminate people that way.
Sure.
Everybody's got a story.
Definitely.
I know what it's like. Growing up, I was the least popular kid in my class. I was bullied constantly. I was always picked last for sports games. Nobody liked me. And part of it's my problem because I was socially awkward growing up. And so I don't like seeing other people treated that way.
Yeah,
So I remember when Lisa Langlois was announced for Frightmare in the Falls, some fucking peckerhead gets on there and goes, "Looks like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Nobody knows who this actress or this movie is." And I'm sitting here thinking, I didn't say this, but I'm like, fuck you.
right,
Fuck you. And they said they need to start getting out some bangers, some real bangers. And I asked her, I said, "Oh, okay. Who do you consider real bangers?"
right,
I'm sorry, but when you say Jamie Lee Curtis, she's not doing Frightmare in the Falls.
right.
Sean Clark got her at one con, and there
Yeah,
was some conditions to that. Good luck with that.
right,
Then they start listing off all these names, and I'm sitting here thinking, wow, wow, you entitled fucking asshole.
right.
Even one person said Jenna Ortega is not going to do this. And so finally, and I don't know whether it was James Ponce or who it was, somebody chimed in from Frightmare in the Falls and said, Lisa's been requested for years.
Yeah,
Finally, the person like, "Well, I didn't know that." I'm sitting there, do your fucking research, dickhead.
yeah,
Not everything is Scream and franchise movies.
right.
I'll
It should
take
be.
class of 1984 over most of the movies being promoted there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
I would hope that one of these cons they can get Perry King there. That'd be cool.
yeah, that I think it'll be a difficult one, but
Yeah.
then and then afterwards I had to go on there and defend Eileen Dietz
Oh jeez.
because she got announced and everybody was again criticizing.
I
I'm
think
like, she's the fucking Pazuzu demon, you fucking dick.
right.
I didn't say this, but that's what I'm thinking. And they were going, "Get Linda Blair, get Linda Blair." Number one,
Yeah,
Eileen and Linda don't see eye to eye.
yeah,
And number two, I tried to get Linda Blair on this podcast, and I offered to make a donation to her dog charity to get her to come on here.
yeah.
Whoever, I don't know whether it was her or one of her handlers from the webpage, asked me how much I was donating. I'm like, be thankful I'm willing to donate. Don't ask me that. I'm not going to donate my fucking paycheck,
Right.
my fucking rent, so that she can, feel high about herself.
Yeah, right.
I've had Eileen on twice, and she said she'd come on again. It's like I was like, and then here's another one.
Yeah,
Announced Sandy Johnson. They announced Will Sandon.
yeah,
Before that, they announced they're going to have the car from Halloween there.
yeah.
Cool. These people were on there. well, we'd much rather have beat the car than these two. I was like, you fucking. I wanted to. If I was sitting there thinking, you know what? Don't be in any lineup that I'm in.
Oh,
I'd
you know
probably get
what?
kicked out for punching somebody.
These douchebags, they would show up, but they wouldn't say a thing. They only feel powerful behind their keyboards. I only heard one dickhead at the convention who made a crass comment about Eileen. Said, "Oh, somebody call security. Somebody let. There's some bag lady behind the table over there." I said, "Bag lady." I said, "Do you know who the fuck you're talking about? She's a legend. Who the hell are you?" Said, and then it was like, "Oh, a has been." I said, "Well, it's better to be a has been than it ever will be. Fuck off." You know, these negative pricks. They walk around and I guess they think they're cute because they'll do it online and they'll make fun of people and think, "Oh, well, because she's not a headliner, in the Avengers or something, that they're not worth knowing." And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather meet the Eileens and the everybody else that was at Frightmare, as opposed to some of these big celebrities who have such swollen heads. They won't take the time to sit and talk to you like Eileen did, and how gracious she was at the bar with us, and she was hanging
Hmm.
out. We're having a good chat. Like she's an awesome lady. So, yeah, I think these people are just like looking for attention.
I
And
would have said to him, I said, "Who are you? What have you done?
exactly.
What have
Well,
you
obviously,
done?"
like you could tell, he looked like he just crawled out of a creek himself. I felt
You
like
know,
saying,
I
"Go
I
have a
get
bath."
tired of these people. Yeah. I
Maybe,
don't like these people, and they are the kind of people who would have bullied me growing up.
yeah.
You know, that's who they are. They want to be around people that make them feel entitled.
Yeah, and they're still bullying people to this day because that's bullying online, making these little comments and like cutting people down. Like for what? Like if
Oh,
they,
they
Lisa,
won't do it in person, I'll tell you that.
well, that's for sure.
They
Lisa,
definitely
we
won't
knock them
do it in
out.
person. Yep. But I'll tell you this though. The I had to come to bat because I know Sandy Johnson definitely had a lot of people come and see her. She
Oh
was
yeah,
Judith Myers,
right,
and Will Sandom was Michael, age 6.
right. That
Like,
was
I'm
awesome.
sorry.
Was that amazing seeing them? Like I was
Yeah.
just sitting, I was like, obviously, I was, I was keeping my distance because I had to be at my table and they're at the other end again. Uh, but I was like so like uh starstruck by these guys because like how many times have I seen Halloween? How many times have I seen that iconic scene where he comes out of the house, right? Like, oh my goodness. And I think he did a way better job than I didn't like the new Halloween. I mean, I liked
Well, I'll tell
the
you this.
director.
I bet you Eileen had made a lot more money than the prick criticizing her did.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That guy was probably like stealing money out of fountains at the mall.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. But I'm glad you heard it and not me.
Yeah, I mean, like for the most part, it's people are coming there and they're having a good time and they want to see these people and they're lining up and having fun and uh it's generally a good vibe there. But then you get these snarky people who come in there. Maybe they can't afford to get autographs, so then they try to like take it out on other people or
Well,
make
here's the
stupid
question.
comments.
Would he say the same thing about Jamie Lee Curtis now?
Well, no, because he'd get punched in the mouth too, right?
Well, it's not that. Yeah, he consider her important, and I think
Sure,
she is important, but
she is,
still, you don't want to take other people and use them to put other people down.
right? Just
Exactly.
just come there and have a good time. That's what I always do. I come there to have a good time. I talk to everybody. I try to meet as many cool people as I can. I was so blessed to have met you, and I was
Hmm. Well,
some other cool people that I met from out of town or Buffalo, or there's that nice fellow Dave that visited us from Buffalo. He was there for a while.
and we met Warren Beatty.
Yeah, the original Warren Beatty.
That was
That was
so
amazing.
funny.
When he told me that story, like when I first asked him, "What's your name?" and he said that, I was like, "Oh, okay." Now I'm thinking in the back of my head, he's messing with me, right? But then when he told the real story that it's his actual name, and then when he got his SAG card, that he had to put in his middle name because of Mr. Warren Beatty himself. Uh, but
Well, you know
no,
what?
oh
I was going to tell you, speaking of online bullying, I'm a co-producer on a movie called 13 Fanboy.
Nice.
And I put 3K into that movie, speaking of which. And I don't associate with that movie anymore because I got accused of it's funny because I've never been to the States.
Yeah.
And I think the director had something to do with this because she went online on a forum because I was throwing out a suicide depression challenge out to various celebrities.
Sure.
And I guess it got viewed negatively because it wasn't putting the director in center of attention, I guess. And
Right.
I'm not the only one that got the shaft on this. My dear friend Carrie Yates in the UK also, and she was not at fault. But they went on. The director was Debbie Sue Voorhees, and she went on online forum and was talking smack about me, and I wasn't privy to it.
Yeah.
And one of the cast members was kind enough to let me in on it because
Yeah.
he didn't appreciate how I was being spoke about, especially given I put 3K towards the project.
Yeah.
Well, I lashed out about it, and I could tell who the suckers were because there were people that were kissing her ass just because she was in Friday the 13th Part 5. And I'm like, so that makes her right. But I got accused of stalking Judy Aronson.
What?
Now, here's the funny thing. When I interviewed Ted White,
Yeah.
Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and this is in that first interview,
Right.
he gave me the contact info for Kane Hodder and Judy Aronson.
Nice.
Contacted Kane, left a message on the answering machine, never heard back. All good. Judy Aronson, I contacted. Person answered claiming I had a wrong number. It's a female.
Yeah.
So I contacted Ted, and Ted said, yeah, but that's her number. And I said, do you think maybe I might have freaked her out? He said, she would never do that. Of course, he worked with her. He'd know. Okay. I left it for a while. And then when Judy was involved with 13 Fanboy, and this was after I come on as a co-producer,
Uh-huh.
I reached out again. This time the person answering the phone, the female, claimed to be her cousin. That's
Jeez.
the last time. And then when I had Debbie Sue Voorhees on my show a third time, she told me to lose the numbers. And the tone with Debbie Sue shifted.
Jeez.
And I got wind. I saw all these texts. One of them said that I had contacted or called Judy Aronson 22 times. Stop and think of number one, I just have to go through my phone records and I can fucking prove that wrong.
Yeah.
But number two, what woman is going to allow somebody to call and harass them 22 times?
Right.
What do I call her a 23rd? Is that the breaking number?
Yeah. Right. Is
You
that was
know?
too much in her books?
Yeah, that's coming. And I was told that she had bought a gun because she feared I was going to show up. And I'm like, really? At the time, I didn't even have a fucking passport.
Right.
So anyway, I was told Vincent DeSante, who did Never Hike Alone, he was on the show twice. He's another one of these guys that's totally turned on me and went in Debbie Sue's favor because I'm a nobody, I guess. I'm just a nobody. She's obviously right because she is in that fucking fifth movie.
Jeez.
But anyway,
Wow.
I was told by accused by Vincent DeSante, he was told that a screening of 13 Fanboy was canceled because of my actions. Number one, Debbie Sue said in an email that nothing was canceled because of me. And number two, I saw a photo that featured four people from that cast, including Vincent DeSante, at that fucking screening.
It was canceled, right?
that was supposedly canceled. Needless to say, when I got the disc in the mail, because it was one of the perks,
Yeah.
I did a review of it on my phone camera, and I spoke and I brought up Debbie Sue's name, and I brought up Judy Aronson's name, and one of the co-producers, Jason Bradford, who another one of these ones that's accuses me of stalking. Yeah, he said apparently I went under the name Brad Fanjoy. Bradford, 13th fanboy. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. I can prove that I did. Find proof. Give me the proof, you
Right.
assholes. So I spoke into the show. I said, here's my review of 13 Fanboy. I stuck the Blu-ray under my back tire of my car and I backed over it. And then I put it in forward and then went over top of it. And then afterwards, I said, I'm not done. The review's not done here. Then I tramped on it several times with my foot. Then I brought it over to the dumpster and I said, the review is over. Tossed it in there. I said, the raccoons will do the rest.
That's right. They'll take a piss on
Yep.
it.
Well, apparently my friend Scotty McCoy, who does a podcast,
Yeah.
he's been on my show 7 times.
Wow.
And he said the difference between me and Debbie Sue is he said that my story is consistent.
Yeah.
But he did something really interesting. He was at a con in Pennsylvania, and Judy Aronson was there, and he said towards the end of the con, he went up to her table. He did not buy anything. He just asked her a question. Said, "Why did you treat Greg so poorly?"
Yeah.
And he said that she got white as a ghost and said she didn't know who I am, which is fucking bullshit. And apparently she canceled a bunch of dates.
That's funny.
And I guarantee you, I'm the reason she was not at Frightmare in the Falls with Kimberly,
Yeah.
Eric Anderson, and the Moore twins. And you know what? All I can say to that is fuck you, Judy Aronson. Fuck you, Debbie Sue Voorhees. I didn't stalk anybody. You think Lisa Langlois would let me hang out with her as much as I have? If you like, I drove with her going to Niagara Falls. Do you think she would have me with her if I was a stalker? No.
Right.
But there's other people from the industry that, like Tom Matthews, even rolled his eyes at this because he's been on my show 3 times. He knows I didn't do it. The kicker, though, was I ran into Sean Clark
Yeah.
at this event, and he used to have Judy Aronson as a clientele. And I'm not going to get into this in detail, but I found out why she's not his client now, and I'm like, wow. Um, I know I'm not the only one that she's fucking pissed off.
I don't know, people have to behave like that. Like they can't just treat people nicely, and I guess they don't believe in karma, but karma is a bitch when it comes
Well, I
back.
was doing a charity challenge after the ALS challenge. One came out for Robin Williams for suicide and depression awareness called the Doubtfire Face Challenge.
All right.
And it involved taking a pie in the face. And I threw that out to various guests. Lisa did it. Nancy McLaughlin from Jason Lives did it in front of props from the movie.
Wow.
Sandy Johnson did it while her husband was dressed as Michael Myers, and he put the pie in her face. Well, it was Scotty McCoy who nominated Debbie Sue Voorhees, but suddenly I got vilified for this. And Judy Aronson, I threw it out to on Cameo.
Yeah.
This was during the pandemic, so she said she couldn't do it at that time, but she promised that she would. A year later, I approach her about it again. All of a sudden, she has a change of mind about it. I can't prove it, but I think I'm under the impression that Debbie Sue had a hand in that. I can't prove it, but you know what? I said to Judy Aronson, I said that if you're ever at a con that I'm at I'm going to let people in your lineup know what your response was to a suicide and depression challenge.
Yeah.
I have no problems with somebody saying no,
Yeah.
but to treat me like that
That's awful.
after putting 3K into your fucking movie. But I'll tell you one thing, just like Gina Carano with the Mandalorian right now, because she's enjoying the South Park hit on Kathleen Kennedy right now. I'm having a Gina Carano moment with 13 Fanboy because 13 Fanboy made about $11,000.
Wow.
They wouldn't release it here, wouldn't release it in the UK, which is, I think, what caused them strife with Carrie Yates, who was a lovely person.
Yeah.
But when Terrifier 2 came out last year, it was released doing the same thing, Indiegogo, that 13 Fanboy. Difference is, instead of 11,000, Terrifier 2 made 11 million. And
Nice.
I fucking threw that at them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was pissed at how I was treated. And it wasn't right. And I told some of the producer, I said, you know what, you got something to say to me? Come to where the cons I'm at.
Yeah.
Invite you out in the parking lot.
That's right. Say
Yeah.
it to my face.
Yeah, say it to my face. They got a lot to say behind my fucking back.
Jeez.
But there's been a lot of people that have backed me up on this. Adam Marcus, the director, Jason Goes to Hell, believes me on this. He's still in touch. More believe me than she's in that fifth movie, so obviously she must be right. And they all want to with the
Yeah.
people they think is important. You know, so I'm not like that, and I that was my review of it. My pictures in the movie covered in blood, which was cool. I was a co-producer. And you know what? With 13 Fanboy, the one I had the crush on was
Yeah.
Tracy Savage from part 3.
Oh wow.
She's in it. She's the reason I put the 3K into it. Tracy Savage's birthday was today.
Really?
I wished her happy birthday. I said, "Happy birthday, beautiful Tracy." She responded right away and said, "Thanks, Greg." She's been on my show 4 times.
Oh wow.
She knows about this drama with 13 Fanboy.
Jeez.
I text her. She's the one I had the crush on, not Judy Aronson. She turned the Doubtfire challenge down. Notice how there's no strife between me and Tracy, the one I had the crush on. Isn't
Yeah.
that funny?
Yep.
And Tracy sent me some autographed pictures. So I don't know what the situation is, but Ted White gave you the info. They love to ignore that fact.
Yeah.
Yep. I almost had a t-shirt made with a likeness of me coming out of the lake and Judy Aronson on the raft. With me with a big shock look on my face. And saying Judy Aronson stalker, and underneath saying for all your Judy Aronson stalker needs. I almost did that, and I thought, you know what, that is kind of mean spirited,
That's funny.
but I am pissed about that experience. And
Yeah. Well, you should be. You
yep,
know.
and if she stayed away because of me, good. I'm glad I had that much fucking power.
Right.
But yeah, but I mean, if I did something fucking like stalked or something like that, fucking prove it.
Yeah. Right. People
Fucking
can run their
prove it.
mouths without evidence or without anything to back it up. Right. But
Yep. But it made me pull away from getting involved in any of these movies anymore because it's like I didn't deserve that. I
yeah.
was involved in a James Balsamo movie called It Wants Blood, where I'm seen on a TV being watched by Eric Roberts. So that is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But
What's it called?
It Wants Blood,
It Wants Blood.
James Balsamo. Yeah. I'm actually in 9 of his movies, but that one there stands out because I just basically shot my footage and sent it to him. But
Lisa
I'm
did.
watching.
Lisa did a video short with Eric Roberts, didn't she? She was saying something about it.
She was in a movie with Eric Roberts,
Yeah.
and I haven't had him on the show, but I'd love to get him on here so I can ask him what it was like working with me.
Yeah.
Say, Eric, do you remember me stalking you? You know,
I
Judy
heard
Aronson. Judy Aronson thinks I'm a stalker. I'm such a stalker. Didn't you see me stalking at the con? I'm such a nasty stalker.
you know, right?
I stalked so much. John Dugan asked me to buy him a beer.
That's right. And stalkers do.
Yeah. So that was my biggest pisser in terms of Debbie Sue's been on my show 5 times, but
Oh wow.
won't be again, never again, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so they can blame me for whatever the fuck they want to,
I
and
have to catch up on your shows
I'm
then.
good, huh?
I have to catch up on your shows. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a lot of them. I saw you getting a pie in the face by Lisa.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
the Doubtfire challenge. She
yeah.
gets one in the face by her son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, her son pied her when she was living in California.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, I've had a few takers in that, so I try to get the industry involved. Lauren Murray Taylor did a nice one from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
Yep, she did a nice one, and I met her at Frightmare in the Falls last year.
Oh nice.
But I have a feeling that there's people involved with 13 Fanboy that are just trying to sabotage this, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
If it's okay for people to dump water over their head, ice water over their head, over a disease that killed my father,
Yeah.
then why is it suddenly wrong to put what like why is it okay for one to succeed and not another?
Right.
You know, it's for a good cause. I'm not making a penny off it,
Right.
you know. But that's the attitude I got out of them. And I thought for sure they'd be behind me because I put a lot of money behind it and it was a good cause.
Right.
Sandy Johnson had posted hers
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and she did to cheer people up, and the response was 100% positive.
Yeah.
People were like, I
Yes.
needed to see this, you know. And it wasn't just any person, it was Sandy Johnson.
Yeah.
Imagine the people involved in 13 Fanboy, like somebody like Judy Aronson, had she pulled her head out of her ass, you
Right.
know? But instead, I got vilified. So my response to them is fuck you. I don't want to hear these people, and I've heard Debbie Sue say it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we just need to learn to love each other and be there for each other. Like, fuck you. It's about the same as these people that say there's a school shooting or something like that, and then
Yeah.
the response is thoughts and prayers.
Right.
Prayer works because God is real.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. But these people saying thoughts and prayers, they're just mouthing.
Yeah.
They're not doing a damn thing.
That's right.
Yep. So that is the whole spiel on that. What's your next con you're going to do?
What's the next one? I want to get. I'm hoping to do Toronto Comic Con, and I think it's in March,
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the year. I have to check with the gang because there's a lot of guys. There's Alex and Eden, and those guys are amazing because they go all over the place. They've been to San Diego. They go in and around the states. They go all over the place. But I'd have to ask them because they know what's coming up. Uh, if I don't get onto that, well, definitely I'll be at Niagara Falls Comic Con in June because I always do that one. I don't know if I'm going to be a handler or if I'm going to be a volunteer. I'm hoping to be a handler again, but
Maybe you're going to be on the beer run for Henry Thomas.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I hope he comes back because he appeared to have a good time. He had some decent lines. A lot of people were there, and yeah, he was awesome to work with. And the best part was, I think it was the Saturday, just near the beginning before it started to pick up. Um, so I was there, and so Billy Zane came over
Mhm.
because Billy Zane was there with his sister. His sister was one of the.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's
That's right.
dead.
That's
Yeah.
right. So Billy Zane was over there, and I talked to him before. He's like, "Oh, hey, Justin," and he came over, and like I was like thinking to myself because I'm a nerd. Hey, he knows my name, right? So he comes
Hmm.
over, he's like, "Oh, Henry Thomas," and he comes over to talk, and then Tom Arnold comes over, then Jerry Mathers scoots over a bit, and then Harry Hamlin was beside them, and he came over,
Hamlin, I love Clash of the Titans.
right? The original one. I always remember
Oh
that
yeah.
robotic owl.
I
So,
love that is one of my favorite movies from my childhood was
right?
Clash of the Titans.
I loved it.
I've had somebody I did tribute on Ray Harryhausen. I had somebody that worked with him closely on 3 times.
Oh,
I love Clash of the Titans.
Harry was awesome. His wife Lisa
Wow.
Langlois was supposed to be there, but she canceled. I think she got sick. But so
Hmm.
imagine me, I'm standing there and I'm surrounded by all these celebrities and I'm dying just to be a fan and turn around quickly and take a selfie. But I want
Hmm.
to spoil the moment because they're all talking about movies and they're talking about directors and I was chiming in and I was in on the conversation. So because yeah, I'm a fan, of all of their movies and Clash of the Titans, like you said. I used to watch it
Hmm.
on pay TV all the time with my brothers and we love that movie, right?
Oh, I love it. Love it.
So
It's one of my favorites to this day.
so that was probably my best con moment ever, is just being surrounded by everybody. Like I love Billy Zane because he's so cool, he's so down to earth. Um, Henry Thomas's handler, the guy named Ken, he's
Hmm.
from Michigan. He was such a nice guy. He was telling me he'd handled for Billy Zane in Washington at a con there, and he said him and Billy's like, yeah, let's go check out the sites, and they went to see the Lincoln Memorial together, and he took them all around town, and they were hanging out, and I was like, oh, that must have been so cool, and he was like, yeah, he's so down to earth, and he's so cool, and you know, I was like, dang, man, and yeah, he was telling us, oh, are you guys foodies? Do you guys love food? We're like, yeah. He's like, oh, you got to check out AG's in Niagara Falls. Oh, it's amazing. So I was like, oh, okay. So
So did Harry
yeah, yeah, look,
Did Harry Hamlin have the helmet of invisibility with him?
I was gonna ask him, but he he I wouldn't say he wasn't friendly. He just seemed a little timid. Uh, and he was there by himself. He didn't have his wife, and I forget who his handler was, but I wanted to talk to him so badly. But I was working Henry's line, and Henry was pretty busy. So if I'm
I
busy and
bet.
I'm working, you know, uh, Jerry, that was another thing. Jerry Mathers wasn't as busy as I hoped he'd be, and how he should have been because he's a legend. Like he's a living legend sitting there, and he wasn't getting the kind of lineups I would expect for Jerry Mathers.
It's
You know,
funny you mention that because this was interesting to me. Lisa, like I knew Lisa was going to have fans, you
yeah,
know. I was actually surprised she was busier than Linnea Quigley. That
yeah,
threw me off,
yeah. Oh,
you know. That
it's
really threw
Lisa,
me
right?
off. Yeah, well, Linnea's a scream queen, you know. Linnea was did a couple of horror-ramas where she was very busy,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
Lisa was was outselling her at this, which really um it surprised me because Linnea's got this huge name out there with the B movies, so
yeah.
you know, but Lisa, I think, was a lot busier than Linnea, which surprised me. But I'm happy Lisa had the business, so there you go.
Yeah.
And she told me that she told me she's going to write a good review for you or a good report for you to James Ponce. So there you go.
I'm humbled because the honor was mine. I mean, I've always been somebody who always comes prepared. So
Hmm.
um, the person who takes care of the handlers, her name's Christina, and
Hmm.
she's an amazing lady. And I was
One
so
with the pink hair.
yeah, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so cool. And yeah, she invited me onto the team, and I was honored for that. And so she gets basically before you start the con, she gives people an email, and it'll give you the convention etiquette. We all know about it, but it goes without saying, but it still needs to be said so people can not like mess around and go, oh, I didn't know, right?
Hmm.
But so it's basically give a list of bring some gold and silver markers and blah blah blah. So she gave me a little checklist of things I can get, like things I would never think of, like paper clips or elastic bands or post-it notes, right? So these are things I never would have thought of, but I stocked up. I bought some extra strength Tylenol in case she got maybe a headache, or if people with heavy perfume, sometimes it gives people headaches if people show
Why
up.
didn't you bring Curtis Armstrong a fart shirt?
I was dying to, man. Like I'm telling you, like I had so many thoughts, and I had my book, and then I was, oh, I would have loved to, but no, I always come prepared, and I always bring baby wipes because when my 9-year-old daughter, when she was a baby, I found out that baby wipes work amazingly for so many amazing things. Like if you get a little stain in your shirt, you use one of those and it just takes it right out, which Lisa found out because she spilled a little coffee, and I was like, oh, and I grabbed a baby wipe and I just gave it to her. I wasn't going to pat her down because it was in an area where I shouldn't be touching, of course.
Mm-hmm.
As a gentleman, I wouldn't have been touching there. So, yeah, I was just glad that she was happy with my work because, I do try hard, and I do try to act as professionally as I possibly can. Being as like I said, I'm a fanboy first, right? This is why the whole reason I did cons and I volunteer at them, because I'm a huge fan. So, when it's work, it's work. But then, when I have time to mingle and get selfies, yeah, I'm totally down, and I was so happy that I got to be with Lisa my first time, because I couldn't have asked for somebody better, like she's, well, as she's a friend of yours, and you know how amazing she is. So yeah, I was happy because I mean, imagine if I'd gotten Tom Arnold, like walked up and I was trying to do my work and he's like, talk to her, doesn't even want to talk to me. I would have been like, you know,
Yeah.
I would have been defeated.
Well, she did speak highly of you, so there you go. Absolutely.
That's
No.
amazing. I'm so happy for that because, um, yeah, I want to make sure that the guests, the celebrity guests, have a good time and then they're well taken care of. And um, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as like kissing people's asses, but I didn't have to with Lisa, and then she wasn't expecting it, like some other people who think they're bigger than they obviously are, like Friday the 13th girl there you were mentioning, whose name I don't want to say. But like she's a cool lady, and I was so honored to work with her because yeah, I could have asked for a better experience. So yeah, that was great.
You
And
ever see any horror stories with people like yourself that handlers have with celebrities?
well, yeah, like the guy who did Tom Arnold, he had like a bad experience, and
Okay.
some of them we're basically we're there. We'll talk if we're spoken to, we'll speak, and if they're carrying conversation, they want to talk, that's fine. Some I've talked to some handlers where the celebrity has just not wanted to interact with them at all unless it has to do with business, and you'll see them sitting there and they'll be kind of like looking in the other direction as that person's like on their phone and doing other things, or sometimes they're so rude they'll go so much as having a phone call in front of that person, and that person's obviously uncomfortable, um, because they're just there doing their job. And what some of these celebrities with these attitude problems don't realize is we're not getting paid for it. We're doing it out of the kindness of our heart. We're volunteering, right? And yeah, we get something out of it because we're fanboys and girls. We like the atmosphere. We love the cons, but at the same time, they should be more respectful to the fact that yeah, they're doing it for nothing, and they're providing a service to that person. So my father always used to say that it doesn't cost anything to be kind to somebody. You don't have to pay to be nice to somebody. So why not be nice to someone? Why not make somebody's day? Like if you're a celebrity and you're there signing autographs and it's quiet, it doesn't cost them anything to be nice to the person who's doing things for free for them, like going to get coffees if they're, or taking them to the green room, or taking them to their Q&As, or their autograph session, whatever the case is, you know. But they've been few and far between. I've only heard of a few instances where it's like that, which is great because you always want to have a positive experience and you want everybody to have a good time. And I wanted my lady to have a good time, and I'm glad Lisa enjoyed herself because last thing I want to do is like, these people are coming here and to me they're doing us a favor by showing up. To have Lisa, I mean, amazing having her there, and then the two ladies from Evil Dead that were next to us.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they came there to be with us and to sign our autographs and take our pictures. I mean,
There are
that's amazing,
some that are just like Lisa is absolutely a doll.
right?
Felissa Rose, like it's too bad you didn't get to meet her because I'll tell you, she is totally up to 11.
Yeah.
She's not 10, she's up to 11. She is just a notch above when she's at the con, she is totally on, and
And
she's
very
got a
easy on the eyes,
great attitude.
right?
Felissa does. Yep. I actually went to meet her again this year just because the experience meeting her before was so good.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and,
wish I did because it was on my list because well, as you said about Sleepaway Camp, the twist at the end always cracked me up.
well, if you get a chance down the future, make it a mark to meet her, or
Yeah,
even if she'd be somebody you might want to be a handler at the table,
yeah.
because I guarantee you she would appreciate it. She is
Oh
just
yeah.
100% on.
Well, the thing is too, when we volunteer as handlers, we don't know who we're going to be with until the day of. Like, basically, when we arrive an hour before our celebrities get there. So we're having our powwows, we're getting set up,
Hmm.
setting up our tables, and then she just basically hands name cards, and I'm like, oh, Lisa Langlois, awesome, right?
You
I
were
didn't
very
find out
lucky.
until I was
She's
right there,
awesome.
and
Hmm.
I hadn't seen Class of '84 in a little while, so I was like, ugh. She asked me if I was a fan. I was like, yeah, yeah. And she asking me questions, and I didn't have the answers readily available because I hadn't watched it in a while. But I met Keith Knight, who was in the movie, and I told her the funny story about how I met him. It was like,
Oh, I know. I don't remember that. Yeah, because he's gone.
yeah, he died. I didn't realize that he had passed away from brain cancer. That was horrible. But
Yeah, yeah,
it was on
brain
the Toronto
tumor, I
subway where
think.
I saw him. There's a subway stop called St. George. It's
Uh-huh.
basically a transfer point from the Bloor Danforth line that goes east west, and then there's the Young University line that goes north south. So yeah, he was coming down the escalator as I was going up, and I just happened to recognize him, and I was like, I was, obviously I'm a fan. I was like, I remember him from Meatballs, and I was like, Meatballs. And
Here's a
give
funny
me a
thing
little
with
wink,
him. You look at him as Barnyard in Class of 1984. Look at him in Meatballs, and then look at him again in My Bloody Valentine. Three
right,
very different performances.
right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of a goofy-go-lucky hot dog eating a buffoon in Meatballs, and then
Hmm.
he's a thug in Class of '84.
And
And
then in My Bloody Valentine,
yeah,
he's, you know, quite normal in that. It's just very interesting.
well,
I interviewed Christine DeBelle from Meatballs.
really,
Yeah, she's my favorite part of the movie.
have you seen any of her other movies from before Meatballs?
Yep.
Do you know?
I had her on the show.
You know what she did before Meatballs, right? Okay.
Well, we talked about Alice in Wonderland, the X-rated musical. We talked about it.
That's what I was alluding to, Alice in Wonderland, because I didn't realize it until years later. My brother had slid that DVD under my door and said, "You'll want to watch it by yourself." I'm like, "Huh?" I didn't realize she was in it. So, hey, man, all
Yeah.
that. And David Naughton's "Making It" song made it into the Meatballs. So when they're all at they're dancing to it, and because originally that "Making It" song was supposed to be, he was supposed to have his own little sitcom, but it didn't get picked up. But so I guess as a consolation prize, the song came out, and it I think it was in the top 10. If it wasn't second or third in the top 10 for a while, but he did make it. And David Naughton, uh, his license plate is "Making It." That's what he told me because I was working on his line. Because I told him my license plate is Dubinator, and he laughed and he said, "Yeah, well, if you're ever in LA and you're driving around and you see "Making It," that's me." I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing he was known for besides American Werewolf and that song was the Dr. Pepper commercials, right? Him dancing
Yep.
around and singing about "I'm a pepper, you're a pepper."
Hmm.
So when I was sitting in his line, he had his drinks under his table, and then he was, stealing sips in between guests. doesn't he pull out a Dr. Pepper and start drinking that? I was like, oh my God, if there's ever a moment for me to be unprofessional and take a picture of the celebrity, it would have been then. I wanted to do it so bad because, like, how funny is that, right? But I didn't get another opportunity because I guess he doesn't drink a lot of pop, but when he does, he's still a pepper, right? So that was amazing. It was awesome. But if he ever
Wow.
comes back, I would beg to handle for him because I mean, yeah, me and my brothers when we were young, I mean, we used to watch American Werewolf in London. The Fog, John Carpenter is another one of our favorites. Uh, Escape from New York. You know, we love John Carpenter. Basically, Halloween, and
I've
we're
had Adrienne Barbeau on here from
oh
Escape from New York.
oh I love her.
Hmm.
She was at I think she was at Frightmare in 2018. I missed
Yeah, that
Frightmare.
was before I started going to them. I've done 3 Frightmares now,
Was that right?
and I've done 4 Horror-ramas, and I did 1 Toronto Comic Con. Lisa wants to do Chiller next year,
Oh yeah.
so I've got my passport,
Where's
and I
Chiller?
promise I didn't get a passport to stalk Judy Aronson. I didn't do that. I know the 13 fanboy people are gonna be like, "Oh, you got a stalker, better warn her." Nope.
That's
If
funny.
Lisa decides she wants to do Chiller, and I can get that time off, I am there. I'll do Chiller
Where
with
are they doing
Lisa.
Chiller?
That's in New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a nice drive. I've been in New Jersey before.
Oh, I
It's
won't drive.
nice
I'm
up
gonna
there.
I'll fly out, but nonetheless,
That's amazing.
I'm looking forward to doing something fresh like that with Lisa, and
Yeah,
so yeah, I'll do that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to do one in the States. I was looking forward to Nickel City in Buffalo, and it was all set, and I was supposed to carpool some friends, and then I got hurt, and I thought that would have hurt my chances to ever handle again because I'm thinking, oh, nobody's gonna believe that I'm actually injured, that I actually was stupid enough to fall down some stairs and land on my back. But uh, yeah, I was in bed for like 2 weeks, and it was horrible. I was in so much pain. I'm
Mhm.
still feeling the after effects of that, and that was months ago, right? But yeah, I'm glad nobody held a grudge, and I got a second chance, and my second chance happened to be with Lisa. You know, how lucky is that?
Mhm.
And then I thought, well, I was only actually scheduled with Lisa for the Friday because the person I was actually initially, pardon me, supposed to be with canceled. So I was just going to be somebody who kind of like went from table to table, bouncing around. But since me and Lisa had such a good rapport on Friday, when the girl showed up for Saturday and Sunday to be with Lisa, Lisa had said, "Well, I hope you don't mind. I'd like to stay with Justin because we have a good rapport. We get along together." And of course, the other hand was she was super cool, and she's like, "Oh yeah, of course, absolutely." So she got to move around from table to table, and it ended up working out for her because she got a group photo with Corey Feldman and the rest of the Friday the 13th people for that iconic photo that they all did together. So I was like, oh wow. So whatever handlers or volunteers were not working at that particular moment in time, where they're like, all right, everybody jump in for a quick photo. Obviously, I was working with Lisa, but I didn't get that chance. But a lot of the other guys got to jump in on that photo. But yeah, it was all right. I ended up I got the better end of the deal because I got
I
to
think
be
so.
with Lisa all 3 days.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was amazing. And she was kind enough to give me that amazing, awesome shirt. I'm gonna have to get her to sign it at some point. I still have
Oh,
my silver marker ready. So
she'll sign it. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like
Lisa's
I thought she was gonna get carpal tunnel because she was signing those little stickers with the little blue pen, and she was sitting there. And well, because she's left-handed, she had to put that paper down.
left-handed, just like me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hmm.
I'm right-handed, so that's nothing special about me. But no, like I was like, ugh. I saw how much signing she was doing on the weekend. I didn't want to bother her with one more thing because I was like, ugh, I don't want to be the person responsible for the carpal tunnel. But she was like, I can't say enough about her. Like for a first celebrity guest to be working with as a handler, I couldn't have asked for anybody better. So
I
so
agree.
excited. I was so happy, and I was humbled that you guys asked me to dinner with you too, because that was amazing too. Because not a lot of the celebrities do that with their handlers or their staff. It's basically, when it's 6 o'clock, well, see you tomorrow, and then boom, they're gone, right? So that was awesome.
We were getting along well, so I thought I had mentioned to Lisa, and she was down for that. So
So that's awesome. I
yeah,
appreciated that. That was
yeah.
amazing. And meeting you, of course. I mean, that was awesome. That the three of us all got to work all weekend and we got along so well, and we're helping each other out because
Hmm.
a couple of times I had to leave the table and I was like, "Oh, can you cover for a minute? Because I have to run. I'll be right back." So
Yep.
that was cool.
No, it all worked out well.
Oh, yeah, it ran smoothly for everybody.
You were
Yeah,
there just to make sure that I wasn't stalking Judy Aronson.
that's right. That's so funny. That's like when somebody makes such an incredible allegation without any proof,
Mm.
and of all things, they're going to say stalker. It makes me laugh. Like
The
you couldn't
amount
think of
of
anything
people
else. Like,
and the amount of idiots from 13 Fanboy that are just going with it.
right?
Yep. Because oh yeah, it has to be true.
Yeah,
True.
couldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, people just run their mouths without proof these days.
Yep.
Um, and Mike Tyson, he had this great quote, and I'll probably butcher it because I can't remember um, exactly, but basically he alluded to the fact that people use their mouths when they're on the internet or hiding behind a keyboard for things that would get them punched in the face for in person. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep.
Which is so true because yeah, people, they don't have any accountability. They just go onto the internet or they make false claims about people and they never have to answer for it. So it's one of the negatives about the internet and social media, I think. But
Well, they have to answer to it for me because then they can avoid seeing me at these
that's right,
Yep. Yep, they can avoid seeing me at these events, and like I said, I'm more than happy to say something to them about it.
right,
Like I'm like the cobra that's going to spread my hood right in their face. I'm like, okay, down close enough. Now say it.
right.
Yep,
That's
that's
funny.
how I. Yep.
Did uh did you end um in June? Um there was you weren't there in June, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Because they had Elliot Furnham from Terrifier 2 was there, the kid with
Huh?
the glasses.
Okay.
And then they had some horror people at just the regular Niagara Falls Comic Con, just left of the table I was working with Henry Thomas. But I wanted to mention something that was so cool is Kane Hodder was there, and he was right beside Doug Bradley,
Mm-hmm.
and Pinhead was there, and he wasn't charging any of the staff for autographed pictures and photographs.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so like I got pictures with both these guys, and I got Kane to sign my shirt, and I had Doug Bradley sign my T-shirt as well, the blue one. Where is it? Well, there's Kane Hodder is right there, but I think Doug Bradley's in the front. Yeah, he's at the front on the bottom there. There he is. Like an amazing autograph. I got them both to sign my shirt. But not only that is Kane is sitting down and he's getting all tight and he's like, "Oh, it's been a long weekend. My back's hurting." Doug Bradley comes up behind him, starts giving him a massage. I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could sneak a photo of that." Right? You see Pinhead giving Jason Voorhees a massage. It was so amazing. Like just thinking like their characters. Oh, it was an amazing moment. And Doug Bradley's such a sweet guy. Just the way he was interacting with fans and him and Kane talking to it because obviously they've worked a few conventions together, so they know each other well. So just seeing the brotherhood and the camaraderie between these two legendary horror guys, I was like, oh man. And that's why I do the cons for those moments in time where you have these cool moments, right?
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
right. So that was pretty awesome. I
Well,
didn't get sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
What was you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I have not seen any of the Terrifiers yet, and it's on my bucket list of things to do because the Elliot Furnham kid, the kid with the glasses, yeah, he was an amazing kid too. He was there with his dad, and I guess his dad is his handler or whatever. But yeah, I keep meaning to see it because the Art the Clown guy, he's pretty cool, and like everybody involved with those movies are so super awesome with the fans. I gotta make sure I watch that at some point.
I've
But,
had David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown, on the show, so
is that right?
yeah.
That's amazing.
And I have Michael Levy on, who was an exterminator in it as well. So
That's awesome.
I got to reach out to Damien Leone and get him to come on.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully make a few more connections. And I've got both of them here, and they're making a third one. So
Oh wow.
yep.
When's
So
that coming out?
I don't know, but they'll probably do everything. They'll probably do everything that everything right where 13 Fanboy failed.
That's right.
I mean,
100,000 versus 11 million.
I hate to keep bringing that up, but you know, they wanted to fuck with me, and fuck right back. You know.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
I definitely got to see the two Terrifiers before the third one comes out. So
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome.
There you go. Well, we need to close off because it is getting late, and I got another
Oh my
building to
goodness.
clean.
I didn't even realize the time. See, the
Time
time
is
flies when you're having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was so honored that you asked me onto your podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, I'll have you on again next year. You know.
Anytime, man. And like I said, anytime you're in Toronto and you're not with Lisa, the tour guide. I'm a great tour guide myself. I could drive you around all the hot spots and some cool movie locations. Like if you're a Police Academy fan, I know a bunch of the filming locations. And
I got to see the Black Christmas house when I at some point in there.
oh, you know what's funny? Speaking of
Mhm.
Christmas, before I'll have to say this before I leave. Um, in St. Catharines, just down the road from where my daughter and my ex-wife live, literally within walking distance, is the school from A Christmas Story, where because they did some filming in St. Catharines. So the scene where Flick has his tongue stuck to the pole, it's just right down the road, like 5 minutes away. So it's awesome. Anytime I'm driving around, I always look over. I mean, it's different now. They've what is it now? I think it's a women's shelter or something. It's not used as a school anymore. And they fenced
It's
off
not
the.
Flick Shelter.
Pardon me.
Flick Shelter.
Sorry.
Not Flick Shelter.
Right. But yeah, no, it's amazing that you see these little things and it's so iconic. And every time I drive by, I always look, even though I've seen it like 20 times. But yeah, no, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like, like I'm humbled being asked to be on your show. But
I knew you would have some stories. You know, it's
well, I got
just kind
loads
of.
more, man. I got loads more for other times. And a lot of them you heard at the convention too. A lot of them are just celebrity interactions that are like maybe a minute or so long, where I'll bump into Martin Short and meet him in a coffee shop, or Keith Knight on an escalator. I'm going the opposite way. It's always these little interactions. I got like a million of them, right? But yeah,
I'll have you back.
I love sharing.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you at another con. You know, and
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
I'm always there. So I'm hoping to expand to the Toronto cons. I'm thinking about it, even though it's crazy busy and it's longer and harder on my feet. But uh, I've lost a little weight since last year, so it should be a little easier for me. So I'm considering it. So I hope
Well,
we can all get
hopefully,
together.
hopefully I can get moved up there permanently so that
Yeah.
you know.
Well, if you do and you need somebody to help you go apartment searching, let me know. I can tell you which are the good neighborhoods and the not so good, and whatever, because you don't want to get ripped off and then sleeping in a place with bed bugs or something.
Well, you'll have to message me some of those locations so that I can look into them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Well, it was an honor to meet you and work with you at Frightmare in the Falls, and Lisa, appreciate you too.
Thank you
So,
so much.
yep. And it was hopefully the three of us can do that again. And
That'd be amazing.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Anyway, God bless you. You have yourself a
You
good night.
you take care, Greg. Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure.
Have a great night.
You too.